Yo, yo, yo! Welcome to the podcast brought to you by the ANOUVUE Collective, where we're going to talk about everything film related, from script to screen and anything else in between. Stay tuned. All right, welcome back to another ANOUVUE podcast, and we have here KURT WRIGHT, and very famous AD in Jamaica, assistant director. KURT, how are you doing?
I like the word the famous, but all right.
I was
Infamous
say
is more
popular,
like
but I couldn't decide like popular. Well, you know what? Infamous works. Infamous works.
well known in an infamous way.
Can I say the man who
When I'm
invented
good,
the
guys.
AD
Thanks for
voice, or
having
is
me.
the AD voice a thing before that?
Oh no, you know the AD voice out here is probably mine and mine alone. I won't lie.
There we go. There we go.
My outside
All right.
voice is pretty well known.
Good, good. All right. Well, KURT, so just a little background about you. You know, you graduated from New York Institute of Technology back in 2004, correct?
2004, yeah.
Okay, cool. And you basically spent over a decade becoming one of Jamaica's most sought after assistant directors. I know you can't argue with that.
But I'm saying.
And pretty much to your name, you have credits like working on Luke Cage, No Time to Die, which I think you were the first AD on that one, were you?
Oh no. Third
Or
AD.
second AD?
Always
Third AD.
almost
Okay, third
almost
AD.
always third AD, sometimes second. Would never have wanted to have taken that one on for us as our first.
I don't know why I felt like you're your first AD on something, but
Oh,
yeah.
no. I did some stuff on second unit, but like that's still no. Third AD
Oh,
is
okay,
kind of
okay.
where I sit. Yeah.
But you have no time to die, Top Boy, Yardie, Luke Cage. Of course, Better Must Come.
Mhm.
That Nick Cannon movie. Can't remember the name of it right now. Was it King of the
What Nick
Dance Hall
Cannon
or something
movie?
like
I
that?
don't know what you're talking about. What Nick Cannon movie?
Yeah, I think I made that up. I made that up.
I
Sorry.
think you did too. I think you did too.
But yeah, you know, that's you in a nutshell. Am I missing anything?
I mean, yeah, it gets, a little blurry after a while because I started looking at it more from like what streamers have I worked for, and what who I haven't had the opportunity to work for, because the good thing is that one job and one experience has always led to another.
Right.
What I've found is that as far away and as large as England is, I seem to be slowly but surely making a little bit of a name for myself, because I do get calls from time to time to be like, listen, we're coming down from XYZ in England, and you were recommended. Who recommended me? Oh, it was like the hairstylist on something else, or it was an AD on this, or it was a gaffer on that. And I'm like, okay, that's cool, man. I'm just out here trying to do the best job that I can. So, if it brings more work, that's fantastic.
So lesson to the audience, be nice to the hairstylist. Don't get work over to it.
Even if you don't have no hair to be, yeah.
So all right, from my recollection, you didn't study film at New York.
No, I've studied communication arts. I mean, it was
Right.
film, radio, and TV, and I kind of just never really stuck with the TV thing, with the radio thing. Sorry, and I mean, even the film aspect of it, like we were taught very basic aspects of it, as far as I'm concerned. Looking back at it, I've always said that it's when I got into the industry, when I came back home and I just dived headfirst back into the industry, that is where my schooling really began.
And what was the transition like coming back to Jamaica? How did you get into the film industry?
New York wasn't exactly, I love New York. It's kind of like a second home to me, but like college was not the best time in the world for me personally. And as a result, you get this thing called OPT. I forget what it stands for. But basically, like as an overseas student, you can apply for OPT and then you get the chance to work in the States for like a year after you graduate. I qualified for OPT. I applied for it. I got it. And I just really wanted to come home. And I was friends with a lot of other international students, not just Jamaicans. Like I used to hang out with like these girls on the volleyball team from Turkey. I used to, one of my good friends was from like, Ecuador and shit like that. So it's what I found was that the people in my class who were sticking it out trying to get jobs in the film industry, even if they were local, even if they were from New York, they were just having such a warm time. And then people who did their OPT a year before me, they had just started to get somewhere. They had spent a year being a PA, and as soon as they were beginning to, get a little bit of a foot in, the OPT was done. And the reality is that a PA it's a very important role. I can talk more on that later, but like a PA is also replaceable because that's a lot of people's starting point. So imagine you're now putting in the work, you're just getting a foothold into this company as a PA. Maybe if you stay there for another 6 months, you can get a promotion to something bigger than that. You can step up to something you really want to be doing. And you suddenly hear, say, boy, time to go. And you're now headed back home to Turkey or wherever you're from. You know what I mean? So yeah, like I wasn't into it, and I was more interested in coming home to see what the industry was really like out here, to help build the industry. I think a lot of people leave college with that expectation of just wanting to come home and like be the one that makes the difference, and yada yada yada. Yeah, came home and just started working in the industry, and I really don't have any regrets about that.
Okay, cool. So, all right, so you came back home, started working in the industry. I'm assuming you probably had a mentor that kind of eased you in. How long did it take you from, getting home to becoming an assistant director on some of these international sets?
No, well, I mean, the international, I mean, a music video here and there, but, I met Ras Casa relatively early in my time coming back. I feel somehow like it was within at least the first year. I don't even think it was as much as two. And, me and him, started working together. He kind of, took me in his productions and stuff. He needed an AD anyway. And, he was kind of like a mentor to me, and I credit a lot of my ability on set, especially when it comes to dealing with crowds and stuff, to him. Um, but yeah, at the same time, it's like that was things that if it was an international music video that he happened to be doing, then sure, I'm ADing that. But things like, the Luke Cage, the James Bond, all of that stuff, it came much, much, much later down the line. This is when I had been ADing so many. I think I've AD'd close to about 400 local productions at this point, and keeping in mind the fact I've been doing this a little over 20 years, I probably could have been doing even better for myself. But, between just the music videos, um, advertisements, tourist board stuff with people like Maxine Walters and them, like I've done a lot of stuff, and all of that experience is what led to me being hireable for international productions.
So, like, all right, walk us through what it's like ADing on a set, like Luke Cage or No Time to Die.
What a lot of people don't realize is that and I wish more people realize locally, is that when we talk about even ADing, there's different types of ADs, because as you said a while ago, there's a reason when you said, oh, I heard you were like first AD on James. So I recoiled like so fast, because no, 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 completely different thing. Totally, totally, totally different thing. The first AD's job is easily one of the most challenging um, in the film industry. A good first AD can save a bad director's career. I don't know that a good director can necessarily save a bad AD's career. He might be saving his own. But the reality is, I mean, in a nutshell, the first AD is a person who creates the schedule for the shoot. They're the person that decides that, we're going to do this scene first, then that scene, then we're going to move over to this house, then we're going to drive 2 miles down the road and do the next thing. They're the ones who control the time. They're responsible for so many things on set, from the schedules to crew safety. Just they run the show. Their job is essentially to allow the director to be the stereotype of what we see a director be when you see a director on TV, where he's just sitting down looking at a monitor and somebody else shouts action, or maybe he shouts it, but then he says nothing else for the rest of the time, and cut. And then all he does is he just whispers to his first AD, tell Kevin, move a little faster in the background. He's lagging a little bit. And then, let's go again. And then they go ahead and they do it. The first AD's job is to make the director's job as smooth as is humanly possible. And I like to add in, and to also take on all the suffering that comes with, video production. The second AD, they typically live in the production vehicle, whether it's, whether you have an office, whether it's a mobile situation. But the second AD typically does a lot of paperwork, and they're the ones who, if me as the first AD, if I'm doing the schedule, they're the ones doing the call sheets. They're the ones who are coming back to the first AD to be like, listen, we're running a little bit late tonight. Do you want to move the call time up a little bit so that we can get a little bit more rest, or so that blah, blah, blah can happen? When things go wrong, they come to the first AD straight away. But also, as a result, they're hardly ever on set. Typically, if you see a second AD on set, like either something's wrong or they're just bored briefly, very briefly, and they're kind of popping in because they miss it and wish they were there. But yeah, they basically are running the show behind the scenes for the first AD in terms of all the paperwork. Because if I'm in the middle of calling action, cut, talking to actors, setting up the next thing, literally putting out fires, literally and figuratively, someone else has to be doing the paperwork and setting up stuff for the next day, the next week, the next, and laying the groundwork so that by the end of the day, when you get your call sheet, it's typically because the second AD has been working on it the entire day. The first and the second AD during lunch had very little lunch and had a conversation with the director, maybe the DOP, and it was this big four-way conversation of, okay, how do we feel? How do we feel about this thing tomorrow? Da, 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 da. Decisions are being made, and the second AD goes to now put that on paper and make that concrete, pass it on to the producers, that kind of thing. The third AD, which is what I typically go for when I am on the international shoots, I am basically the person who, to some extent, I hire the PAs, I run the sets, and then you have two different types of third AD because you have the floor third and you have the crowd third. A lot of times I am both because the floor third typically will take instructions from the first AD. We'll get things set up ahead of time. While we're doing this, make sure that so-and-so is ready, make sure our art department is set. Everybody's usually asking me questions so that they don't bother the first AD because they know he's very busy as well. So I need to know pretty much everything. This is as a floor third. And then as a crowd third, which people love to have me juggle as well too, but I don't mind it, the floor third is responsible for the extras. So you may have another second AD for crowd who registers everyone, but then they send people to set now. And then once they come to set, I like to say, okay, now they're mine. And I'm the one, that is where the voice comes in. We make the joke about the outside voice and the AD voice. I've typically gone to go talk to the extras beforehand. And I have already introduced myself. I've explained the ins and outs. Like once I say cut, stop. Once I reset, you're going back to where you started. Little things that people may not be aware of if it's their first time on set. But essentially for all of the acting that you see the main actors doing, everything else happening in the background is the responsibility of the rest of the AD department, like the third AD, the floor and the crowd, the third, my PAs. The best example I can give is if you watch the trailer for the Bob Marley movie, which I was also on. Anytime it's Kingsley, it's Rita, it's Bob, it's, the Wailers, that's the director. Anytime it's literally anything else, thousands of people, hundreds of people at the concert scenes, the football game, the military, the police in the background, all of those people are following my instruction. In some cases, maybe I've split them into groups because I work with some very good PAs like Ashley, Darren Ray. Those guys are on my team almost constantly and they know what's required of them. So if I say we have 300 people and I go, Darren, you take that 50, Ashley, you take that 50, Najaria, you take that 50, I'll take whatever's left. And, I know that I can depend on them if I just say, set me something over there. I don't necessarily need to get into what that has to be. They've now done the job enough that they can just run it for themselves, and then I'll still go in and I'll check and I'll make sure that it's up to scratch and it doesn't look weird. But yeah, I have a really good crew that works with me as well.
Okay, cool. Are there any, in your memory, any standout moments, ADing on any particular sets out here?
I mean, it's been a really good learning experience. It's one of the reasons that I don't particularly like to second AD. I know all about the paperwork at this point, but I don't want to be stuck in the office. I think the standout points for me are always whenever I get to work for a really good director. And, you know, you get a chance to be that fly on the wall and see how they interact with their crew, how they interact with their cast, the things that they do to draw certain things out of their cast. You know, it's just, it's interesting, and you get to take all of these things back with you to your own productions, good and bad. So you kind of know what not to do just as much as what you should, you know. Working with Idris Elba on Yardi was like really, really awesome, because I mean, he was so grounded a person in the first place. And he really, it was his first time directing a feature film, but at the same time, he knew exactly what he wanted. It taught me the importance of having a good relationship with your DOP, because him and his DOP were like this, director of photography, and the way that the two of them kind of just bounced off of each other in terms of ideas was fantastic, and their process was super smooth. And it really just taught me that when you have a really good crew supporting you, you know, you can work wonders, you know, on set. You know, so I've had the opportunity to work with, you know, people like that, and really just, you know, Kira Joji Fukunaga, who did James Bond, watching him work and seeing things at that level, the difference between, you know, a Luke Cage or, you know, even Yardi and stuff like that, and a Bond. You know, I was standing out on the dock in Portland one night, and a guy walked over to me. I don't even remember if it was local or international crew, and he just kind of said to me, "No, bro, do you realize that we are standing on the set of the biggest movie being filmed in the world right now?" And, you know, it kind of just, when that sank in, that, you know, you've gotten to be not just a part of it, but like a significant part of it, like things you're doing matter, and people are asking your opinion, and, you know, that kind of thing. It's an incredible feeling. Uh, but it can also be really daunting if you're not accustomed to it. I've seen people shut down on set, like just absolutely like running off their mouth, everything. Or maybe it's nerves, I don't know. And the instant you actually get there in it, they just fell apart, you know. And
Yeah.
it makes it a little tricky when people are like, you know, "Yo, Kurt, I want to work with you. I want to work with you." It makes me wish that I did more stuff for myself, because then I could have the opportunity to be like, "Well, all right, come, let's try you out."
Yeah.
But jobs like that, people don't understand that, like, this is not my reputation on the line.
Right.
If I call you in and you crack up, or you offend somebody, or you know what I mean, like things like that, they're going to be like, "Kurt, who the hell did you hire?" And
Right,
it's just
right.
one of the reasons why, like, why I stick with the team that I have, and I'm so appreciative of the team that I have.
And you see, and the thing is, I can see the gears turning in Lecky's head, because we literally had a podcast the other day where we were talking about cliques.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
I was,
Yeah.
because me, Lecky, and Tarik were talking about cliques, and I said, all right, let's do a podcast talking about cliques. And I'm like, I'm purposely going to play devil's advocate. And
Mhm,
I was saying to them, I started the conversation by saying, Tarik, whenever I say to you, hey, you should work with this guy, your first question is, what has he done? You
mhm,
know, like what is,
mhm,
and you know, and I was saying that, are cliques people trying to shut everyone out, or are cliques people saying, yeah, I want to work with somebody that I trust because I can't afford to screw this up, you know? I mean,
mhm.
at the end, we kind of came to the conclusion that a little bit of both exists, but just don't jump to the conclusion that because you're not getting a bus on certain sets is
Yeah.
not because we don't like you. It's just a case of we can't afford to take a risk, or we can't take a
Can't afford
chance.
to take a risk. And, you know, as Noel, my wife, will point out, she's a producer. You know, sometimes bringing on that extra person, even when people are like, "Oh, I'll work for free," or whatever. Yeah, but I still have to feed you. And if it's a personal project, that money is coming out of our
Exactly.
pocket. And, you know, there's little things. There's little things. I'm not saying I've never brought somebody on um, simply because they were really helpful on set and, you know, whatever. But I think that the clique thing, we all do that though, don't we? You know what I mean? Like, it's not even just about work. I mean, you're going to tell me that when you were in high school, you hung out with everybody at the school, you know what I mean? Like, you had your preference of people. You do stunt coordination. If there were like 10 stunt coordinators out here, and I worked with one that I found that, like, me and them just really get on and get along, and I like their work. That is the most important part. I respect what they do. But maybe say I respect what they do, but they're a dickhead. you know what I mean? Then you're gonna
Yeah,
go with the
yeah,
person
exactly.
who you respect their work and they're easy to get along with. You know what I mean? So it's not always about kicking out somebody's foot. You know, I had a conversation in an area that I won't name, earlier this year. And somebody had come to me, and because I deal with the crowds, I'll typically end up speaking with just a lot of locals on a whole. And somebody was saying to me how, that boy, every time films come to this area, is the same man with them call every single time and rate it and XYZ. And, like nobody else can't get no work. And them call him and then him call like him five man them. And I'm like, yeah, but okay, first of all, what you have to remember is that when you say film, it's not like it's the same movie just coming back over and over. These people don't know you. They don't care who it is that gets hired as long as they're efficient and the area is safe. That is the most important thing. But then we all strive to make names for ourselves. You say that I'm one of the most sought after ADs. Yeah, fine. Overseas films come down now and they want to know, well, okay, we're doing a new thing now. Who was the location person on Bob Marley? Who was the location person on Yardie? I have a friend who was a DOP on that thing for Amazon you did the other day. Who did the locations for that? Typically, we don't have that many locations people out here. I can think of
Right.
three. I can think of three straight off the bat, and you
Yeah,
probably know the
yeah.
same three.
Yeah,
So,
same tree.
so if I
And it's
go
funny you say that because where I work, we have a list of them and it's literally three.
all three, this long list of three. So
Long
when
list of
two of them
three.
are busy, or typically what will happen to is that you can't get Kevin, you can't get Kurt. So you're going to call the next person. That person's going to call Kevin and or Kurt and be like, yo, give me a link in XYZ now. Who's he gonna? Why would I then give you the name of somebody that I feel like you can depend on if
Right.
if this is my link in the area? You know what I mean? Why would I look to damage my own reputation by recommending somebody that
Yeah,
I
man. Yeah,
cannot
man.
trust myself? So I
Yeah.
do think that a lot of times that is what happens as well, and people are going to have their preference. People are going to have
Yeah,
their
man.
preference.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Because I,
You
I
know?
mean, even the other day, somebody was asking me about you. They were like, hey, we think of Kurt as a AD. And I'm like, honestly speaking, you can't really find a better AD than Kurt here in Jamaica. I said, however, I don't know if Kurt is right for your set because of how your vibe set work.
Mhm.
Kurt might not put up with that foolishness and he might rub it the wrong way.
Yeah,
And they were like,
I'm not rubbing
okay.
the guy
And I
around.
said, yeah, well, true. Yeah,
Or the
I'm right
right
for
way.
that.
Or the right way.
But but yeah, no, but the point that I was making is that while he might be the best, you have to consider
Yeah.
what kind of AD you want to work with, because if you can deal with how him do things, then you're growing up in our problems,
And the
And I
other thing
mean,
too, yeah, it is about relationships. It is about relationships,
mm,
but it's also about, for me, when people say that, like I'm very, kind of hard on set when it comes to just keeping things in order. First of all, that's my job. That's my job. My
right,
my job is to make the set move as efficiently as possible. Um, but at the same time, I think that there's a lot of people who, the same way I point out that there's, different types of ADs, you don't just AD. There's a lot of people out there who have been in the industry for a very long time and they don't have a clue what an AD does because they've been so busy pushing their own hustle, and God bless, you did your thing, you built up your own company, you this, that, and the other, you're doing your thing, you bought your camera equipment, you run your own sets. And then one day you call me and you want to know why you can't spend half an hour extra right here because the crew needs to eat lunch and we need to move on to the next thing.
right.
I am here again now to look out for the crew just as much as to run. A part of running your set efficiently is looking out for the crew because nobody wants to really do a 16-hour day when you're barely being paid for 12.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean? Nobody wants
No,
to
no, fucks.
consistently be going home late every single night
Exactly,
when we know
exactly.
for a fact that if we fall asleep at the wheel and crash out, all I'm going to do is just hire somebody else, including your AD,
Yeah,
to come and replace you the next day. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like this job, I don't think that any job outside of firefighting or maybe police work is worth your life. You know what
yeah.
I mean? You've
Fucks.
made a choice. You've made a choice to do that. But like, I'm not killing out myself or dying
Yeah,
over somebody's college project. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I
So,
was AD on a set. Lecky was on that set, and one of the things that I got very upset with the director about was that, um, so she was pushing the envelope of how long we were shooting, right? And that particular day, I don't remember what time we shot up until, but I'm like, yo, we need to end this. We need to end this now, or we need to end this soon because it's getting to the point where people can't even get transportation home,
right,
right?
right.
And literally speaking, I think she had been dropping you home typically, right? Because she lived
Brother,
close, right? Where she was staying
brother,
was close. But that particular night, because we ended so late, she
Mhm.
was
brother,
tired. She not dropping him home. And I'm like, at 3 in the
brother,
morning, you're not going to drop the man to him yard?
Right,
But
brother.
yeah,
right.
It
you can
wasn't,
talk.
brother. It wasn't even that, bro. She never did ever drop me home. But that
To
night
drop
there,
you
like
near.
when there's space, no, no, not even. But we were getting off early enough to where we can reach home, or time enough where we can reach. But this specific day, she literally a shoot a spin right at the little circle right there of the school there before you go more into Spain. I may
Yeah,
say,
man, St. Jago.
well, yes, I may say if me there down there so just drop me at my house after we done and we are wrap late. Me come for find out say this woman a drop somebody way all Harbor, but she can't drop me at Old Harbor Road before you reach at Old Harbor. And she never wanted to take me home that night. So me just say, Kevin don't know. Me say fuck it. Me I go home now. When we wrap, me say me not come back tomorrow.
Yeah. And I don't blame
And
you.
I pick them up and pick me up when me I walk go home and drop me home.
Yeah.
For me come back. Yo,
But
bro, it was
that is the kind of
dumbest.
thing.
It's a dumbest thought. Like you not think what the whole project.
And that's the problem. I think that sometimes people are thinking too much of the project. That's the issue. They're thinking of the project. They're not thinking of the crew. Because I've been in that position to have to tell somebody something just like that. Say, yo, Lecky, how is Lecky going to get home? And their whole thing is, yeah, but we need to get this shot though. Over this man's life? You know what I mean?
Oh,
It is.
and let me add, one of the reasons I was upset with her is because why we started late was a very, in my opinion, a very dumb logistic move because they needed a specific car because this particular character drives this particular car. They don't own that car, so basically them have to rent that car for the scenes that we need the car. This particular day, we hear the car coming, the car coming, the car coming. And we're there like it's daylight. We're supposed to be shooting in daylight. We don't see no car coming. It's like, where is this car? Where's this car? Oh yeah, man, my father on the way with it. Okay, cool. Night starts to fall. Like, what is going on with this car? Do we need this car to shoot this scene? Anyway, the car finally arrives. Where is the car coming from? Was it St. Elizabeth or Mandeville or somewhere? And I'm like, we couldn't get a car any closer. We literally had to wait on a car all the way on the other side of the island. Really? And so the scene became a night scene, which then now stretched out the time because the cinematographer was not anticipating shooting in the night. So now
In
the
the
crew
night,
has to be
right.
setting up lights, one bag of something. It rains, so we have to pop down lights. Then it stop rain, we have to put back up lights.
But here's
All
the thing
kind of
though,
stuff.
Kevin, I'm going to pause you because this also
Sure.
proves exactly what I'm saying to you, that some people, it does not matter whether they've been doing it for 2 weeks, 2 years, 20 years. There are people in this country and people around the world, but this is where we live and work, who do not understand an AD's role, because the reality is that if that is the situation, just using that example of the car alone, you should have been the first person to know that is relevant information, to then be like, listen, the car is coming, but the car coming from far. So in the meantime, you as the AD could have maybe said, well, all right, tell you what, the car is probably going to take forever to get here. Let's go do some other shit in the meantime, because again, efficiency. What are we standing around waiting on a car for? But if you don't have that information, and a lot of people don't realize that that is what the AD's role is. It is literally problem solving. You cannot just create problems for the entire crew, make the entire thing more difficult, and then you're going to turn around and be like, yeah, but you know, like, because people are going to want to know at the end of the day, oh, it's a 16-hour shoot and we sit going to wait for XYZ. The first question I always hear is, who was the AD? It's always the AD's fault, bro. It is always the AD's fault.
Yeah, yeah. And
So,
I mean,
you know,
on
when
this
people don't
particular
realize
set,
the role,
on this particular set, I should not have taken the job, but it was one of those situations where, you know, you're just like, you're eager to work on a project like this. It's like, all right, yeah, man. But from day one, things went awry because I did not get the script. And I kept asking for the script. And I kept hearing, yeah, man, I'm going to send you the script. Wait, you don't get the script yet? I'm like, why am I not getting the script? So I had to literally get there early. And when the actors were rehearsing, when them stop rehearse, I take up the script and start reading the script. The director didn't want me to see the script because she heard I was a writer and she was told to let me take a look at the script because the script was very wordy. There was a lot of repetition, etc. She didn't want me to see the script, I guess, because she didn't want me to go, yeah, you need to cut some dialogue here. You need to do, you know, she didn't want to hear that. So she was just like, she just avoided giving me the script.
The thing about that,
but it was an interesting learning experience.
It's a little bit of cross contamination going on there, though, because I mean, typically those are conversations that you might have ahead of time, but at the same time, it's not really the AD's job at all to be like, oh, you need to cut some dialogue. You may want to suggest, listen, is there any way that we can cut this scene shorter so that you can get it and then we can move on to something else? You know what I mean? But like, you know, I don't know. It's only because a big part of the job and a big thing that I pride myself in is kind of staying in my lane. Because, I mean, I will go PA tomorrow for somebody like a Maxine Walters if there's already an AD and she calls me for that. I'll go do it. I won't care. Because work is work and I love what I do. But at the same time, when I get there now as a PA, you best believe that the AD and the director now go hear nothing more out of me than how do you like your coffee? Would you like some water?
Yeah.
Where do you want this moved? I'm not going to be over the director's shoulder because I do this shit to talk him out, you know, boy, I really like pan the camera, look more to the left, you know what I mean? Like that's not, no, you don't.
No, I agree.
And that goes for
that was me
role.
for the first, that was me for like the first half of that movie because I was just sitting there and going, all right, we'll just sit through this dialogue.
Yeah, man.
Eventually she kind of just got tired of directing and was like, Kevin, you want to direct it? And I was like, okay, no problem there.
No, man, that sounds like looseness. That sounds loose. No,
the truth is, it was her very first film. And I think that's where a lot of the nerves and anxiety came from her. It was her first script, first film. And she didn't want anybody to tell her how to do her film, etc., etc. But I think eventually when she realized how hard filmmaying is,
that's childish and that's unprofessional. Like at the end of the day, it's childish and it's unprofessional. And maybe this is what people say about me that like, I'm not going to hold my tongue, because at the end of the day, the reality too is, as I said, how are you supposed to do a schedule for a feature film that you're working on if you don't have a script? They wouldn't have had me. I'm not telling you what you should have done, but the reality is that if you're not giving me as your first AD, if it's 2 days before I'm doing what's supposed to be a feature film and I haven't seen a script yet, go with God. Because that's ridiculous.
Yeah, man. No, for a good while, I felt like as a PA on the set because I came on set asking, so what are we shooting today?
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying.
Today? So which scene are we shooting now? Who's in this scene?
There's certain people, and I mean, sometimes it's even some big so-called production companies that like I've seen that basically they set out a schedule in the first place. And you're kind of sitting there going, so you don't want an AD, you want somebody for your action and cut.
Basically.
Because the schedule don't make no sense. Or maybe it says
18 pages a day.
18 pages a day. Or it will say something, let's say it's a commercial, you know what I mean? And you're going to say something like, all right, we're going to be shooting in halfway tree for 4:30. We're going to start shooting at 4:30, finish by 5, and then we'll be shooting in Ligani at 5:15. And it's like, no, you won't. No, you won't. because it's going to take you minimum 20 minutes to pack up. It's going to take you another 15 minutes if you're lucky. I usually give any move time half an hour to get to Ligani, and then it's going to take you another half hour to set up. So guess what? You have an entire day that is short by about 4 hours because you've not put in any time for moving, tearing down, and setting up. Things that are simple as that. Oh, but we'll wrap at 7:30. Yeah, you'll be calling wrap at 7:30, but then it's going to take us half an hour at best to pack up. So we're really leaving. That's the difference between wrap and taillights, because you're supposed to put both on your schedule. Wrap is when we're done. Taillights is when we are physically driving out. So you never really finish at 7:30. You finished at 8. You finished at 8:15. You get what I'm saying? And it's like a lot of people don't like to hear those hard truths. And then you hear say, well, you know, Kurt, all right, dude, again, go with God, man. Like, I'm not here to like waste my time or yours.
As we talk about childish, I know a director who says that he doesn't want a AD on his set because he wants to be the one to call all the shots. He doesn't want another air on set.
But you know, the thing about that though, why that's ridiculous again, is you can do that because some directors are like that. I don't have to be the one shouting action and cut. I absolutely don't have to be. But my job is still to run everything for you so that you have the easiest time. And then if you feel like pass, I've worked with tons of directors like that and it's been fine. It's just, oh, you won't call it? All right, cool, no problem, X, Y, Z. Kurt. And then all that's happening is that people are whispering in my ear while it's going on. So Kurt, what are we doing next? Okay, so after this, we're going to set up blah, blah, blah. So just make sure that that is now my job. My job is not to stand on set by definition and shout action and cut. It is to make your set more efficient.
Yeah.
Sorry, we now have a guest star, and I was wondering how long this was going to take. Baggins, say hello to the next people. Say hello.
Hey, Baggins.
Baggins wants to give her take on animal wrangling on set.
Hold
and
on,
how they're underfed and underpaid.
You mean Baggins like Bilbo Baggins?
Baggins as in Miss Baggins. Thank you very much. Her name is Miss Baggins because she's fancy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, our running joke on this podcast is from people that's from between uptown and down lower class. We call them Middle Earth in Jamaica. So hey, I think you just put yourself in Middle Earth.
I am perfectly comfortable in Middle Earth. Believe me, I am perfectly comfortable in Middle Earth, and I would have to be, because some of the areas that I work in, bro, if you are not a grounded individual, it would be a different story. So you know what I mean. But so Middle Earth is fine.
I want to leave the assistant directing thing now and get into the directing part of it, because you are a director, you know, whether you want to call yourself one or not. I definitely want to dive more into, when do you feel like you'll be comfortable calling yourself a director? But before getting there...
No, bro, I'm comfortable now. Like,
you're comfortable now? Okay,
great. You can cut the whole of that part out of this and get straight to that, because the reality is I describe myself as a writer-director. You go on my Instagram right now, I don't advertise myself as an AD. The only time that I do that is because these international projects will come down, and the reality is they're not coming down here to find a director. They already did. Unless you name like a Storm Salter, who did have to like, you know, work his ass off to get Inheritance a couple months ago. But no, he's the one director for 5 episodes, which is, I don't envy. But, you know, it is, 2 things are not going to be selected if it's an overseas project. It is the first AD and the director. They're already going to secure that before they come down here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, makes sense.
Maybe if they're starting in Jamaica or whatever, you know what I mean? Like Storm situation on Inheritance may be different. I don't know. Obviously he lives here and he's a local director. But no, bro, as far as I'm concerned, I'm a director, and if you need me to AD, then fine. But I mean,
okay, cool.
I'll slip into whichever role.
Well,
here's my question to know.
Kevin,
go ahead, Blakey.
No, this question will go into that next one, because I did want to ask something on that last one where in my AD. You know, the other day I was supposed to shoot a short film, because, you know, I was supposed to shoot it before I went to Budapest, and then I'm bringing the whole time, but it wasn't clear. And then I come back, ready for shoot it. I basically gave my job to somebody else. I kind of sell somebody else on the job because it probably just easier for them to shoot it and them have the equipment and everything, right? Because if them didn't go with me, them need to give me an AC, and then it was just adding up, and then I say, it add up, but then it end up being cheaper because I have the gear already, the camera and everything.
Yeah, understood.
I left it with the bridge and I said, hey, no, it's for your time to choose. Because this is what you do in LA. No matter who it is, it's still, I mean, I'm a bridging, but still you have a choice now between two DPs. Choose. Boom, boom. And then him choose the other guy. And then I was like, cool, that's good. But then one day I talked to him about something else. And him tell me, no, him choose the other DP because him cheaper. And I was like, nigga, that's the dumbest shit to ever say to me. That's retarded because I was cheaper. To be honest, because maybe I gonna do it for free. I have all the equipment, so I'm not charging. No, all you need is a gaffer, bam, bam, bam. The point me I try to get to is this. Now somebody else is on the set. And I said, because I'm originally more AC for you, because that's what I do. See? So I'm going to AC for free now on a job what I was supposed to DP on. So, you know, I can dip on the set and have certain type of feelings like, what the fuck is going on? Me, will I do this, da, 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 da. But what I take from it is a learning experience where I'm
Absolutely, yeah.
Would I do this? Oh, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done that. Boom, boom, boom. And the worst thing they kept doing was coming to me and asking, Lecky, how does it look? And I keep smiling. Because internally, I'm like, bro, I wouldn't do this like this. I would have done this way. Bam, bam, right? So point I get to is, you being an AD on a lot of these big sets, and smaller sets too, but most of the big sets, do you like, because you're like a fly on the wall in that situation, because you're the AD, that means you're literally, if it's Tom Cruise or Christopher Nolan, you're literally there right beside them. You're not like a PA where you don't need to be in the, you don't need to be in the vicinity. Are you like a fly on the wall and you go? It's like a master class for you. Do you pick up? Are you picking up and you go?
No, man, okay. I pick up and I try to pick up as much as I can. But the reality is that my job, even as a third AD, especially as a third AD, it's like everybody's lifting everybody else up, if you get what I'm saying. So it's like, if the AD isn't really busy, then the director's in trouble. If the third AD isn't really busy, then the first AD is in trouble. And there's going to be a lot of, I thought you secured this. I thought we already XYZ. So it's a lot of in passing, because chances are I'm on my way to do something. I was passing by, I'm waiting to like ask a question while XYZ is being talked about, and when it's done, it's just a real quick, do you want the thing red or blue? Cool, blue, on it, gone. You know what I mean? But so when I say fly on the wall, it's like, it's almost like you're pitching by accident, if you get what I'm saying. Like, because it's not, you can't really, you're too busy to be able to be like, you know, yo, let me just go stand over here and just hear this conversation. Like, for me personally, my experience, there is always at least 3 people waiting to ask me a question. Whether it is one of the extras just asking something as simple as, me did look fool when we walk across the road. I don't even need to answer that question right now, but it's there and it's waiting. Or an art department person going in like, Kurt, what are we setting up for next? You know, XYZ, was it 2 people or 3 people? You know, or it might be the first AD going, you know, can I get a cup of coffee? Whatever, you know, it don't really matter what it is. Typically, I'm very busy, and so I take it where I can get it. And as I said, it's like exactly what you said. It don't matter if you was going DOP. If you want to be on the job and you feel like it could be a learning experience and you wanted to go AC, who gives a shit? You know what I mean? Like the main thing is, and I think you already covered that, is that like you stay in your lane, you know? Like any actor, and I do find that this happens with me quite a bit because people know that I direct. So like local actors will from time to time come to me and be like, you know, yo, like, how was it? XYZ, this, that, and the other. What do you think? I always kind of prefer if they go to the director first, and I will tell them that. But sometimes it's also along the lines, and this is one of the very few times that I like cross a line with that. If it's something that's more Jamaica relevant and the director's not Jamaican. So it's kind of like, you know, now we're just talking as a Jamaican, like, you know, like when I walk across the road, look at swag. Was it like Jamaican swag or was it too much swag? Probably too much swag, bro. dial it down a little bit. You know what I mean? Like even we know walk. So, all right, cool. You know, but I don't like to put myself in those positions. Typically, the only time that I'm comfortable like that is if the actor and me are like really good friends, and I know that they would have been coming to me like anyway, and it's kind of, you know, we just kind of respect each other's craft, and we'd have this conversation even if I wasn't working on the set. You know, so now I know I'm helping my friend, and they want the help, and they have gone to the director. You know, so I don't know. Staying in your lane is really, really important, regardless of what role you're playing.
Yes, it is.
It's really super important.
I can attest to
True.
that because I remember in one of my first, I think, like full conversations with you, Kurt. It was after One Love had wrapped, and it was after we had done that concert scene down there. And just what you were saying about him being very busy, guys, like fully he was busy. I don't think there was even a time where I saw him even take like a 5 second to sit down. There was
No, I
so
don't.
many
I don't
things.
sit.
Yeah,
I
there
don't
was
sit
so
on
many
set ever.
things happening, like back and forth, and he was literally always moving from point A to point B. There was someone always asking him something, and I mean, kudos to him because he handled that very well. And then how he was able to give us as crowd, you know, direction. And then I don't think I even saw the director those nights that we were on set, or maybe he was, but maybe where I was, I didn't see.
No,
But
man,
for
he
the
was
most
right there.
part,
He was actually very close. But
oh,
like,
was he?
that's my point. That's my point.
I see.
The first AD was already doing a banging job with the main talent. I was doing a pretty damn good job with the crowd on a whole. And so as a result, all the director had to do was sit there and be like, how long do we need? 5 minutes? Cool. I'm gonna go get something to snack on.
I thought he was watching it like on a monitor somewhere else
No,
because
but he
yeah,
was closer than you think. That's my point. He
okay.
was much closer than you think. And at the end of the day, that's exactly what a lot of directors, not all, because you do have the directors that, as you said, you know, will want to be the ones to call action cut. They're very in it. I think something I worked on very recently, like I actually didn't get a chance to wrangle the crowd because the first AD had been a third AD and he enjoyed doing that. And like I've never been so bored in my life because I was already wrangling the stuff that the third floor
Yeah.
AD would do. So everything's secured, and I'm still doing the answer this question, set up this, set up that. But then the crowds come in and they're like, "Hey, Kurt," and I'm like, "Oh, don't talk to me. Talk to the white guy over there." You know what I mean? And I just sat there like, "Fine." But again, staying in your lane. I'm not going to look at the dude and argue with him over it. I may have made a comment about, I'm so bored. I wish I could direct some crowd. But, you know, also, I get it. I get it. He loves that aspect of it. Fine, whatever. Let him go do it, you know?
But
So, yeah.
say on that same shoot, even though I was AC and what the opportunity that I have, and also the energy that I can give to the DP, even though it's the first time I'm meeting him, is as a DP, I'm a second eye. So when I was there, there's a lot of times I go, you want that in the frame? You want that? Should we? Or we just see it and I know it had to go, like a security camera in the side. I'm gonna say, shift that. So it's like I'm also helping him, you know. And there's also parts where I go, I think they need a light right there, you know. I think they need that and that and. I was just there, and then all of a sudden the man say, "Oh, put a light right there." I will look at him and I say, "Bro, I was gonna say that to you, but I was staying in my lane." And the man dapped me, and I'm saying, "Thank you for doing that. Thank you for not saying anything." And I was like, "It is just sometimes you just shut the fuck up and just make people figure it themselves."
And you know what? Again, it depends on the relationship because I mean, I will work with people like Gawain Walker, and when Gawain ACs for me, because I also shoot, like it just depends on the relationship, you know what I mean? Because some DOPs would be like, and I think the AC thing is different from being the AD because as an AD, you're like, you sure that's the performance you want them to go? No, shut up. Not your job. Shut up. But the AC for me, if I'm shooting and the AC says to me, you sure so that thing is not a little bit too harsh on him head? Huh. And I mean, that's just how I shoot. I'm not going to pretend like I know everything. So, you know, maybe Yeah, it probably is, and I didn't notice that. So, all right, yeah, get the diffusion and let's throw something over there and soften that down. But it depends, you know what I mean? And it's like the relationship between the AD and the director, whether it's first, second, third, whichever, it's always something that you kind of have to feel out. It's always something that within the first, say, 2 days on an international set, you kind of know how this going to go. And it's a case of, yeah, me and him can talk, or, you know, yeah, just shut the hell up till he asks you something, or she, you know what I mean? And it's just it's interesting, you know. I worked with a really really cool AD before, like super super cool on a really big project, and then recently I worked with this girl who apparently she was his second for years, and nothing no wrong with the girl, mind you, but like her style is so different from him because now she's the first, and she was just like rigid, bro. And I was like, okay, cool. But you would think that like the person who is coming out from under someone who's a little bit more laissez-faire and a little bit more, and they're doing their job. They're doing their job. It's not like it's not a I don't care thing. You know what I mean? You would think that like that person would put out a protege who would be a little sick. Nope, just maybe they watched him and they were kind of like, you know, he's good, but I don't want to be like this because I see how it's maybe they saw negative stuff. I don't know. I don't know. For me, it made working for him made me feel like, yeah, I'm on the right track, you know, because this is how I handle people and he's getting the job done and XYZ and everybody's having a good time and we're finishing on time. If we're all having fun and we are all eating lunch and wrapping on time, bro, what more can you ask for? You know what I mean? So it's about understanding that every job is going to be different. And again, this comes back to that clique conversation, though, eh? Because when you find that person, now if you're the AC and you're working with the DOP, you'd have never mind working for that DOP again because you realize that, yo, you and him click. The DOP, if he feels the same way, that is how you start getting called constantly. But then there's a next man down the road now going, yo, Star, you know, long more work for XYZ and him ever hire. Yes, because he's doing a good job and they get along, bro. Like, that's one of the key things.
Yo, but that
the
go back
truth, you
to
know,
Why do I want
that.
to work with you for 2 weeks straight if I can't stand you, bro? If I
But
feel
bro,
like 2 days in, I
brother,
want to strangle you.
yo,
You know?
yo. So, Kurt, you all right? As you say, you don't sit and set, right? And there's on
no.
that same shoot, like there's a kid that lives in that house that he was helping on the set. He was helping on the set, right? I know it is. Some people just not know. Them fresh, them don't know. So you're teaching them, and you're teaching them say, yeah, bro, be active. Think 1,000 miles ahead. Don't make me ask you for something. Think what may I do, what I might need, bam, bam, bam.
Yes.
You and them in your pocket, take them out. Because even if you're at work, we'll think you're not at work. Not up on your phone, none at all. Tell him all of this. You don't know something. Tell the little youth, say, yo, all right, remember say you're a PA. Every time they cut and it's hot inside there because there's no AC, make sure say they get some water or ask them if they want some water or have water on deck just in case.
Yes.
Kurt, when I tell you say the little nigga they in the room, you know, and an actress go, can I get some water please? The brother like a magician, the man goes so here. Brother, you know a proud father, bro? Dude, she was like, that is quick. And she yo, for the rest of the day, she did not forget it. I'm look on him and I was like, you remember what the fuck I said to you?
And that is how you get rehired. That is how you get rehired. Yeah, that's how you get rehired, man. Like,
yeah.
No, I was just gonna say
for
that,
those
like,
people who
some of my favorite PAs, like I joke all the time about how they saved my life because I'll be working. It's not even really a joke because you will be getting dehydrated. You will be moving at 90 miles an hour. You will forget to eat lunch and all kinds of stuff like that. And I have PAs who will just be like, yo, here's some water. I'm like, I don't have time. And they're like, drink it. Let me take the water. You know what I mean? I have PAs that will bad me up and like, you know, you want a Coke and they're like, you can't. How many waters have you had before this? I've had 3. Jesus is watching you. I've had 3. Okay, here's your Coke. You know what I mean? Because they know that like we will all pop down. It's why I said being a PA is such an important job, and people don't realize that. And it's so much more of a way in than people realize. And yet you also have to be prepared to take some shit, man, because some people are not nice to work for.
I have
You
never
know what I
looked
mean?
down on that opportunity at all, because to me it is an act of service. And it is
It is.
literally,
It
as you
is.
just said, a way on set that you would never get.
And I promise you, if you are doing a good job as a PA, you have a foot in with like every department.
Yeah.
As much as you may
Yeah.
you may think that is some simple shit to be making coffee or bringing out snacks and sandwiches or water and getting certain, but then it builds, you know what I mean? You get more and more responsibility, and all of a sudden, like I carry out water because everybody needs, the crew needs, you know what I mean? If my PAs are taking up water, typically I'm shotgunning 2 handfuls worth of bottles as well. And you know, we're all trying to, you know, keep people water. But at the same time, it's like people don't realize that when you're a good PA and you have that foot in, you're not just giving me water, you're taking it to the grips, you're taking it to the cameraman, you're taking it to everybody else. And sooner or later, if you want to ask them a question, you know, what's the difference between f-stop and ISO? This dude feels like you've been saving his life for like 3 days now. Yeah, man, come here, let me show you something. XYZ, rate, come, it's lunchtime now. Come here, let me show you something. I have lost so many PAs because they have been good to another department. And the next thing I know, the job not even done, you know, brother. The job not even done. I just show up one day to work and they're a grip. Now they're a grip. And I'm like, I was still using that person. Where them gone? You know what I mean?
Hey, that's one of the worst things when you think you have a PA and you don't have a PA.
And you don't have a PA, but like, but you can't wrong somebody for doing a good job. If
sure.
another
Yeah,
department
definitely
kind of
not.
go, you know, yo, come in.
But-
if this is
but-
what you want to be doing, let's teach you that.
But to add to your point, the reason why we love them people there, you know, is because they take initiative. And bro,
Yes.
using that
Yes.
same set as an example, there was just like first day when I have no slate, the man must say, yo, make a write on piece of paper. I say, what you say? First of all, I never understand how we not have no slate, or nobody not think about that. So I go, oh snap, we can use a digital slate on the phone or an iPad. You know, say by the time I not say nothing, you know, I not say it, I just thought it. Brother, by the time I walk outside, one of the PA them will never PA yet. I think he did PA a little. The man upon him phone and said, I found a digital slate. I was like, what kind of frequency with that one, bro?
Yep.
And because of that, I remember that guy.
Yeah.
Initiative, everything.
And
you
the
can
reason
come on
initiative-
set under their work and you not do nothing, to be honest.
And I mean, yeah, because I was going to say, you know, like we also need to mention that there's a massive difference between initiative and willingness. You understand what I'm saying? You can be ready to go, bro. But if you're just standing there waiting for somebody to give you an instruction, I will tell you for a fact that when I am not even at my busiest, when I'm even halfway there, I will walk past you like 17 times. And then good and all look on Kevin and be like, yo, why is so-and-so rooted to that spot and not working? That's what I see. That's not what you're thinking. You're sitting here like, you know, like or standing there waiting for like somebody to give you an instruction to go do it. No, it's, as you said, perfectly said. It is about seeing what needs to be done and making sure that things like that are covered. Or even just coming over to be like, yo, do you need me to go to XYZ? Do you want me to go to XYZ? There's a PA I know of who, I mean, I enjoy working with them, but I had to pull them aside one day and say, they basically would come to me constantly and be like, what can I do? That's a horrible question, because I'm in the middle of thinking about 15 other things, and you're now going to make me have to think about what out of these 15 or possibly even more things can I now put you on as a responsibility? I don't have time to think about that, yo. And then what they would do is, when I think of something, have you checked on that? Go to that. Ask them to that. All if it take them 2 minutes to do it, then back again. That's willingness. That's not initiative.
Right.
And that throws me off, me personally, just my style. I'm not saying you can't do it, but that affects me negatively.
Tell you, man. There are 2 particular setters on. One of them as ADing, and I became AD by accident. The guy who was ADing something like you spoke about earlier, he just shut down the first day. And I saw it. I saw when he shut down, and I was like trying to encourage him, like, you know, whatever. But then like he called me the night and was like, can you AD tomorrow? I just can't do it. And I'm like, all right, fine.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, who are the PAs? All right, cool, blah, blah, blah. No, you know, you give them a few instructions at first, but then now when you get into the heat of things, you don't have the time to give them the instructions. But they've already been doing stuff, so they should already be figuring out, all right, what does everybody need, blah, blah, blah. At a certain point, I see them just sitting down. Yeah, exactly. I see them sitting down, not doing nothing. And I'm like, what's going on? And well, no, nothing for do. Like, do this, do that, whatever, whatever, whatever. You get back into the heat of things, you don't have nothing to give them. You look back around, they're sitting down again. And you're just like, what the fuck is that? Then at a certain point in the night when we really needed them, I'm looking around for the ADs. I can find them nowhere. I'm like, where are anybody see the ADs? Anybody have eye on sorry,
You mean the
PAs?
PAs? Yeah.
The PAs, sorry. Anybody have eyes on the PAs? Nope, nobody don't know where they are. And I'm like, them what have gone home? Where are they? They're like, no, they're not supposed to go home. And then literally no, I have to go end up do feed them work because we needed somebody to run to the trailer to go get the one of the main actors for the thing. And because they're not there and we don't have no walkie, I have to now run, go out to the parking lot to the bus. And then the director is cussing me because he's like, you shouldn't be doing that. Where's the PAs? I'm like, I don't know where it is.
But you hear what I said to you. It is always the AD's fault.
Yeah, man.
Disappear, them good and all gone them yard and never tell nobody.
I think them gone them yard.
I need to know where those PAs were.
But then you go and get cussed. But then you go and get cussed because you shouldn't be doing that exercise. Yeah, I know. I don't want to be running to the trailer. It is why it is important to have people.
We had to, and PAs don't realize how important they are because just by them not being there, I now have to waste time to do what they're supposed to do. And then when I waste time to do that, the director now is stalled because he's like, where's my AD? I need my AD because I need X, Y, and Z. And literally the producer had called me and said, hey, what did you think of these PAs? Should I tell them to come back? And I was like, no.
No.
So them don't even know, so them lose the work, right? And I remember another set where on similar thing happened. The PAs were willing but not taking initiative. And only one PA came back to me and said, how did I do? And I said, do you want my honest opinion? Not good. And he was like, oh. And he's like, okay, what could I have done better? And I was like, well, here's the thing. You're not preempting what needs to be done. It's a hot day. I don't see you come ask nobody if they want water, right? I don't see you putting water in the cooler to make sure there's cool water available for anybody. I don't see you, like I have to go on the walk and ask somebody for a PA, right? And wait on you to run come. And because he asked that, I actually told the producer, yeah, him can come back tomorrow. And when he came back the next day, the man was on point. The man was on fire.
There you go.
The man took everything to heart. And it's like, as I go so and wipe sweat, man goes, so water? I'm like, oh, yeah, all right, thanks. Yo, you need me to pick this up for you? Yeah, thanks. You need, and I'm like, okay, all right, cool.
And that's exactly it, man. That's what it takes, yo. Like I said, I mean, some people, they just, once them get into the groove, right? Like it's perfection, bro. Like I love, it doesn't even matter if it's a PA, we could be talking about any role, like if I'm directing or whatever. If I can say to you that this is what I need and walk away and never feel the need to look back, that to me is like every single time. I will hire you every single time. I think it's just, the fact is though that, when we talk about local productions and stuff, it's usually just budget, you know what I mean? It's just things like you still have to feed somebody. The crew just wasn't that big. It's, we have a like an attitude problem in Jamaica as well too, because I mean, man, there's some people that I can think of straight off the bat, not PAs, but it's like people in like proper departments who like have given me so much attitude. I actually raised up somebody about it just like about a week and a half ago because they came at me a little aggressive. And they were like, yo, calm if not, X, Y, Z. And I was like, you see the last thing that me and you were on about 6 months ago that I got hired for and you got hired for? Yeah. I said that was the last job that I had. So You want to dial back on that attitude? Because that attitude will make sure that I don't hire you when I have something for myself. We need to get past this. You know, Jamaicans love, lad, you get fatty. Like all them cat, like, calm down, calm down, calm down. We did it. I find that sometimes we do the same thing in the film industry.
It's true.
And we just dip on, lad, you can't call me for nothing. Preface that shit with, yo, how's things been for you? You work on anything lately? X, Y, Z. And if I say to you, oh man, I've been busy as shit for the last 6 months, then you can feel free to look upon me and be like, so what? You know what I mean?
Right.
We're coming out of a slump. We're coming out of a people who work out here locally, but they only work on like a lot of like music videos and ads and stuff. They may not realize this, but the reality is that Hollywood had the strikes and the actors strike and the writers strike, and then the grips were like, yo, you want to strike too? And the PAs were like, yo, you want to strike too? And all of that. And it slowed down so much stuff that even when the strike was over, exactly. And even when the strikes were over, what people didn't realize is that because certain schedules had gotten screwed up so badly, I was planning to shoot this in January till March. But because of the strike, no, the strike is over in September. That don't mean that I can just pick up and start shooting.
Exactly.
Because the fact is the same crew I was supposed to shoot with in January and March has been out of work from when, and they're gone looking for other things. So we then ended up with this massive gap where just no work was coming down. And I mean, the only way that like me and Noel, for instance, managed to, it was still rough as hell. But when we were on Marley, we got a little bit of a hint from somebody overseas that, listen, this thing is probably going to happen. And, you know, more than likely, it's looking more likely every day. So whatever your money making from this, now's not a good time to buy equipment. Put that shit in the bank and save it, because it's going to be a while. And they were not wrong. You know what I mean? So like things have been very slow. Things have been very slow. And I just think it's very stupid, selfish, and self-serving when you greet somebody with, you know, boy, you can't count how much years when I work together. No, do you know how long it's been since I've personally done a short film? You know what I mean? Like something for myself that I go and pick up my money out of my own pocket and call some people for come help me with.
I was just going to go into that because how you said, you know, how people would sometimes call you and instead of asking how you're doing, just immediately go straight to the work. It, number one, shows that you're really not as informed as you think you are about the industry, even though you say that you're in the industry. And then two, you don't realize or appreciate the fact that this thing is really focused, again, as all of you are saying, and I agree, about relationships with people. You're working with people. This is a people industry. You can't just look at somebody and then just assume that we're always going to be in this consistent wave of work and everything is fine. And then even more ignorant to the fact that you think that because I'm in the industry, that means, say, you think I'm making a certain amount of money or above what you think. That's really not how
or even able to hire you. Because here's the thing too. If I'm the AD, bro, if I'm the AD,
you have no hiring power.
I have no hiring power. As a matter of fact, I've never signed a PA's contract, ever. I've never signed a PA's time card, ever. The second AD does that. What will happen with me a lot of times is that whether it's international, whether it's like it's international, but somebody like a Justine Hensler, Natalie Thompson is handling like the line production aspect of it, they may say to me, what PAs would you like? Or in the case of like one job I had near the end of last year, they were like, we're going to bring in some people with like you and Philippa, who's another great AD out here. We'd like you guys to sit in on those have those interviews, do those interviews, and hire the PAs based on those people. Now, two people that I hire on a very regular basis were made to sit in those interviews. I couldn't even just say, no, well, give me this person and give me that person. You know what I mean? So the reality is that people don't even realize that, yeah, you might see me working on this and see me working on that. But what the hell does the fact that I'm the assistant director have to do with the fact that you're art department? And I'm not throwing stones at anybody in specific in art department, but I'm just saying your job as a grip, as art department, as a AC, that don't have nothing to do with me, brother. My job is to work with the first AD who does not hire you either, So it's not even like I can say, boy, you know, so this brother Mark, like he's a good AC, you know. If I tell that to the first AD, he's gonna be like, so what's your point? Go tell the DOP. And then the DOP don't know me from Adam, and I'm not in his department.
And then the DP are gonna be like,
Right.
I owe him too. I don't know him.
Exactly. They'll be looking at me because they just met me half a day ago.
So
like who is this blasted third world?
all right, guys, it's 10:09. I want to move on to the next question.
But wait. I'm sorry. I know I keep adding, but let me just say this. There's something that I do here in LA, and I do it when I'm in Jamaica too. And Kevin know about it, right? No, I think Kevin, but I just like to hang out with my brethren them, my friend them, and you know, like Darren him love go beach and rivers. So like we'll do them little thing there. And when I followed up here, what I was doing was I was going out with my friends, like we'll go watch movie, we go watch Bob Marley, we go whatever. We'll just go to the friend them. You see that right there, so? And recently, some of my brethren them just create something that's called Guys Night. It was already done, but they make it official now, Guys Night. So we can go bar, go sit down and chill. You know, if you drink, but just sit down and chill and chat and, you know what I say, without other people. You see me?
Yeah.
And you see them little something there? Those are the little things that when you fall to them thing there and them create something, they remember you. When you hang out with people outside of try to get to work, they remember you. So
and
you're there in them brain the whole time.
Outer mind is a real thing. Like I
Outer
remember
sight,
one day
outer
Tarik
mind is
called
a hell
me.
of a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember one time Tarik called me and Tarik was like, boy, you know, I'm not getting no work and I'm signed up with this talent agent and you know, she don't call me for nothing and blah blah blah. And I said, message her, call her, make her know say still alive. You don't even have to ask her for work. Just say, hey, how you doing? Blah blah blah. And he messaged her and right away she was like, yo, you're free on Thursday? I have this thing, blah blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, because outer sight is outer mind. She has so many people dealing with that, like, and that's the thing. People see KURT don't realize that KURT know about 300 filmmakers in Jamaica or 300 people connected to it. You can't remember everybody. You can't go, oh, you know, friend number 253 would love to have this job right here. Let me reach out to them. And, oh, you know, acquaintance 567 said to me 2 years ago that if something comes up, let me go.
Bro, believe me.
You can't remember that.
Believe me.
And the thing is,
people also don't realize the difference between KURT onset and KURT offset is like a switch flips, bro. Like, I mean, if you have just spent a week wrangling 300 people, 400, however many people, and I thoroughly enjoy my job, I'm very good at my job and I enjoy being good at my job. But when I get home and the job done, even my family knows, like, don't call me for about 2 days.
Phone turn off.
No, yeah, I mean, phone, all if it turn on, it turn off. You know what I mean? Because that's just reality. You have to decompress. And it's like me at home is a completely different thing. People have seen me on set before I go out and talk to a crowd. You can normally find me somewhere in a dark corner with a pair of headphones on, just kind of just bouncing and just hyping myself up. And as soon as that song is done, all right, cool, let's go. And I get into it and I'm gone. But at the end of the night, it's the same thing. Something else have to play all the way home. So that by the time I park, I feel the day just wash out of me and it's gone.
KURT,
and now I don't want to hear nothing from nobody.
Tell me something, KURT. What's the difference between KURT WRIGHT, the director of Me and My Crew, and KURT WRIGHT, the director of Origins?
Sweet Jesus, so much experience. So much experience. And it's funny how Me and My Crew is a great learning experience. Not all in good ways, but
I just want to say I missed that show. I really would love the continuation of that show. I'm not trying to say that our friend shoot it, Robin.
Talk to Bensley Hype has nothing to do with me, bro.
Yeah,
but
you know what
I'll always love Me and My Crew for? What I'll always love Me and My Crew for is it introduced me to Leonie Forbes. It was my first opportunity to really work with her. And I loved that woman to the ground. She basically just became an adopted grandmother to me. And Leonie, Miss Lee was like, there was a moment on Me and My Crew that I'll also never forget because she was the biggest actor that we had on the thing. You know what I mean? Jamaica's Eartha Kitt, Jamaica's whoever they want compare. She's Miss Lee. That's who she is, Leonie Forbes. And me and her were talking one day, and she's also the one that taught me how important it is to be able to have conversations with your actors as well, you know, and to be able to see what can come out of these conversations in order to get deeper into the characters. But we were talking about something one day, and you know, I mean, it's set, and we're set is Jamaican set, so like everybody kind of around us and chatting, and the crew chatting, and a couple cast members chatting, and I'm trying to say something to her, and then out of nowhere, like this tiny little woman just turned and snapped and was like, "I am speaking to my director right now. So you will all be quiet and you will give him the respect that he deserves. We are having a conversation. Keep on him out."
Love it.
Turned immediately back to me with the sweetest smile and said, "Sorry, what were you saying?" And I just went, I think I said to her just instantly, I was like, "You know, sir, I love you." And she was like, "I love you too." And we hugged and we continued the conversation and we did the scene. You know what I mean? Me and my crew was a hell of an experience, but it also kind of taught me that there needs to be certain lines between, you know, we've already talked about the staying in your lane. You know, Tanya Taylor, God bless her. Like, I mean, we had such a, I would not call it a love-hate relationship, but we had a very interesting relationship where it's like, you know, we did have moments where we really, really didn't get along with each other. And then we had moments where we might as well have been best friends. But Tanya hired me to be the director, and I just found that sometimes she had a real hard time staying in her lane as the producer. And she was a damn good producer. But because she also directed, there were moments where I felt a little bit like I couldn't even put down the camera before she was there kind of going, "Why you don't put it over here? Let's move it this way. Let's move it that way." To the point where halfway through the shoot, maybe not even halfway, I looked at her and I said to her, you know, and there was no malice, there was no whatever involved in this, but I said to her, you know, "Listen, if you want to direct this thing, you can do it, and I will happily AD it for you. Like, I've read all the scripts, I know X, Y, Z, this, that, and the third. If you want to direct, go right ahead." And she insisted that I continue. But, you know, I don't know. I feel like that's maybe what caused a little bit of a backing up. There was still cross lines, but, you know, it was a little easier to breathe after that. But I feel like me and my crew was a bit of a trial by fire, and it made me realize that I can take on stuff like that. Because even though it's a completely different project from Origins, I don't even remember how many episodes it was, but I directed every single episode. And that's why I say, even looking at like Stormwood Inheritance, much bigger project, but being the one director or the one AD on like 5 episodes or something, like on every single episode or something, it's a hell of a task, man. And I think that me and my crew helped build the confidence in myself. It helped me to see maybe what I was lacking or needed to grow in as a director. And because it was low budget as well too, it also really, really rehearsals. I don't care if I'm doing a short film that is only 2 pages long. You best believe the week before we are rehearsing the hell out of that, so that when we get to set, everybody knows their lines. If I can help it, you'll know you're blocking, all that kind of stuff. I want to get on set and I want us to film. I want us to film, and I want us to have the room to now be able to be like, well, Kevin always knew that he was going to go to the left, and we've done that, we've gotten that. What if he went to the right and he did this instead? You know what I mean? I want to be able to have that room to play instead of going, "No, Kevin, your line is kick the puss out of the house." You know what I mean? Like it's not, we should be there. We should be there already. And the actors should now know their lines to the point where they're not even thinking about them. It's now about the action that you are carrying through within the scene, and you can fully become the character. You know, where are you coming from? Where are you going after the scene? That kind of vibe. You know what I mean? Instead of just going rotted. What does Tarik say? And then I say the thing where I yell at him. I don't remember. It can't be that, you know? And I think with me and my crew, the cast, that was the one blessing about it, man. That like, as hard as that shoot was, the cast put in work. Like for the season I was on, the cast put in work. And I feel like everybody gave the best that they could to that show. You know, so yeah.
All right. Origins.
What?
What inspired Origins, and where is Origins going? What has it achieved? Where is it going? All of that
God.
jazz.
I'll answer the where it's going first,
All right,
because
cool.
it's a loaded question, and the truthful answer is we are still undecided. I know that that's frustrating to people who are fans of it, but the reality is that, yep, there you go. The reality, though, is that also, we talked about the strikes. We talk about, we haven't gotten onto things like the rise of AI and stuff, but Hollywood is dialing back on a lot of stuff. Origins was never going to be a cheap project. And at the end of the day, where we are right now is making that decision of we have a pitch deck that is pretty much put together, but at the same time, someone approached us recently. I was like, yo, I really think I could get you funding if you wrote Origins as a feature film. And I went, well, you know what? For me, the most important thing is getting the story out there. We have the information for 8 episodes worth of TV, the information, not the scripts. We have outlines of the rest of the episodes. We know exactly character arcs and all of that stuff. But the reality is that if we wanted to do a feature, we'd have to condense that. I'm not against that. I originally, when the idea first came to me, I originally wanted to do it as a feature. And this is pre-strike, obviously. And, there was a whole different conversation had and a whole different set of reasoning as to why it should be a series. But the series takes money, and the series takes more time, and the series takes more manpower, and the series takes a whole lot of other things that are very difficult to get at this time. Not impossible, but difficult. Whereas with a feature and things like the JSTI that Jampro is putting out, you may know a little bit about that. It's to do something like a feature version of it feels a lot more possible. And so it's something that's being considered. And then we already have the information in the pitch deck. It's a matter of just condensing it. And I don't really like the term trimming the fat, because I'd like to think that my story is pretty tight. But it can't be a problem of the week kind of story anymore. If you do a feature, you can have Jack go through different trials and stuff, but it certainly can't be like 8 enemies for 8 episodes, which is sort of how it's set out right now. So that is still a work in progress. And as for the actual proof of concept, Rob Mailer, who a lot of us know out here, he gave me a pretty good suggestion, which is to take that proof of concept, cut it into 7, 8 little webisodes, maybe release that on TikTok just as a thing, so that it's actually out there. TikTok, YouTube, whatever, so that people can watch these little mini installments, which I like the idea of that, otherwise it's just sitting there. Yeah. But we'll see how that works out. How the idea came to me, though, is basically just sitting down and kind of not seeing anything to watch on Jamaican TV, and because I hate reality shows, I really do. I think they're the bane of humanity's existence.
Yo,
Wait, your wife not get you hooked on. Wait, you're going to take it away from me? Are you going to say the same thing I'm saying?
No, well, what I'm saying going to lead into what you're saying, which is that
let him ask that question.
Some of the times I avoid the bedroom just because reality
Whoa!
I can't be bothered with Love Island. I can't be bothered.
That's where I was going, to Love Island. Have they got you stuck to Love Island?
Make him fall for that stereotype. And go on, ask the question about my wife. Go ahead. Ask the question. I'm going to show you something real quick.
You're going to ask if she got you on that Love Island thing.
No, sir. This is an app that keeps track of all the TV shows that me and my wife are currently watching. Not one of these is a reality show. We watch way too much stuff. But for me, it's also, again, how I learn. But it does not change the fact that neither of us, thank God, I'm so happy I don't have to share the TV for Love Island. Or, I think the most that she'll watch, which I don't mind, is like a Dancing with the Stars when it comes out, because she used to dance. So for obvious reasons, she's going to watch that. You know what I mean? But aside from that, no, reality TV really does not make it into our house. It is awful TV. It is cheap TV. It is easy TV. And having worked on a reality TV show,
Oh God.
Yeah, no, I will. It's the one job that I will consistently turn down. Like I will never AD a reality show again because it is pure chaos and it is asinine.
Yeah,
I
man.
will
Yeah, man.
stand on that till my dying day.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
But
And
back to what I was saying.
yeah.
Yeah,
You
we
set him
have.
off, Licky. That's wrong. Shouldn't have done that.
No. But the reality, you know, is that like as we're talking about it, the fact is that, you know, we were coming from a point where I mean, I don't know what else there is on TV. I barely even watch local TV now, but it was Dancing Dynamites. It was you know, thing them on Digicel Rising Stars, that kind of stuff. I'm not really interested in that stuff, you know, and it's just
Yeah.
I said to Noel one day, you know, if you could watch anything on Jamaican TV or create it, you know what I mean? That is inherently Jamaican. What would it be? And her response was that she would love to see a story about or involving a Nancy set in a modern day setting. And so for people who don't know what Origins is, it's basically a time traveling adventure, fantasy adventure that starts off during slavery time. So it is a period piece at the very beginning. But essentially, the whole idea is that the story jumps through all of these different points in Jamaican history. And it's following the adventures of Three Finger Jack and Nanny of the Maroons, who have come together as a team to defeat Annie Palmer, because Annie Palmer has stolen this thing that has allowed her to take control of her own destiny. So obviously now she's not going to die at the hands of the slave revolt, and she's, you know, that's going to change Jamaica's whole history. So their job is to now come together reluctantly, because they don't really like each other, and essentially like set things right. Because when you think about it, you know, as I said in this thing the other day, we're this country of, you know, barely 3 million people. But without Jamaica, you don't have reggae music, you don't have Usain Bolt, you don't have Bob Marley, you don't have so many things involving, like, you know, there's Independence, Marcus Garvey, all of these people from this tiny, tiny island who have affected the world. So if there was never a Marcus Garvey, how would Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. have been as people? They'd have still existed, but would they have still been as strong in their belief system? Would they, you know what I mean? What would music on a whole be if reggae was never a thing? You know what I mean? What would half of North America be if it wasn't for weed smoking? You know what I mean? So we've contributed so much to the world and its history on a whole, that the whole idea is that we are irreplaceable. And you know, Origins gives us a chance to show people that, not just through this really fun, amazing, you know, high stakes adventure through time, but the point was to also try and keep as many dates and events and people accurate as possible. Not every single thing, obviously, because it's still fiction. You know, Three Finger Jack and Nanny never even necessarily cross paths. But we really just want to tell a story about just this awesome adventure through time that also teaches people about Jamaican history. Teaches still in my mind makes it sound so corny. And for me, I remember watching Black Sails, and because my family is from Port Royal, the instant that Black Sails went to Port Royal, that had me hooked. I just wanted to watch that. The instant a character walked in through the door and I realized it's Jack Rackham, and I just went, oh my God, that's the guy. And I'm now looking at Noelle and I'm doing the thing she does when we watch Game of Thrones. Somebody, big toe, stepped through the door and she's like, oh my God, that's Kevin Jackson, son of so-and-so and slayer of blah, blah, blah. I'm like, can you let the man's foot get through the door so those of us who did not read the books can learn? As soon as we were watching Black Sails and a man walked in through the door and him never said a word, and I went, oh my God, that's Jack Rackham. And I just started going off. Yo, the little key before you get the line key, and sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. XYZ. That's where he got humdrum and quartered shit. Spoiler. You know what I mean? Like, it's, for me, to be able to see a part of our history that's so important to me and has been such a big deal to me growing up. That's what I wanted to do with Origins for Jamaica on a whole, you know? So it's like everybody from Anansi, Three Finger Jack, Annie Palmer, Nanny of the Maroons, people that I was running into like 30-odd-year-olds and realizing that they knew who Nanny was because she was on the money, but if you ask them who Kojo is, they don't know. And I'm going, that's a little bit like knowing who Batman is, but you've never heard of Robin. That's really weird.
Right.
You know, so I just feel like our culture is fading and our history is fading. And that's a metaphor for Origins, because in that story, our history and our culture and who we are is literally fading. And it's up to Jack and Nanny to essentially repair that and bring it back to what it should be. So that's Origins.
Yeah,
think
man, I love that.
I think how you've chosen to do it is an incredibly smart way, you know, as someone who's finally seen it a good number of times and I want to watch it again. Um, I think it's important to tell our history through art because that is the easiest way that I think it can be perceived, you know, not just by international people, but also, as you said, just by us, because a lot of our history isn't being told as much as we like to believe. Because I can definitely remember in history class, I remember all the 3 chapters. The first chapter was about the Tainos, next was the Caribs, and then the 3rd chapter, you go all the way to Europe talking about the Dark Ages, then to the Renaissance, and then Columbus coming and discovering this part of the world.
Discovering Jamaica. Oh, what a discoverer Columbus was.
That's it. And then you would only talk about the folklore in literature books, but it was still just a condensed version. Most of the characters, like, I'm sure you're not going to get the full explanation of, apart from the heroes, Anansi, and then a couple more stories.
And to some extent, it's our fault, though, I will say, because I have to say that doing some of the research for Origins was really, really hard, man, because it's like research is supposed to be tricky, but we have like 3 different versions of a story for nearly every character we wanted to use, from Three Finger Jack to Annie Palmer to Anansi to Nanny. Like, there are 3 versions of every damn person's story. And
even the rolling cast.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons why I realized I had to fictionalize this, because it had to be a situation where I go, listen, this is just my version. Because I know if I tell the version that I grew up hearing, somebody else who's from Mobay is going to be like, listen, my family lived next to lived next to Rose Hall for 15 generations. And Anna said, they'd go, okay, well, in my story. You know,
so that sounds but that sound like you just create a 4th timeline. Because
no, the thing is, you know, no, let me tell you, the reason why it's not unusual is because, remember, you know, like, let's just use simply us, right? The KURT WRIGHT that I know is not the same KURT WRIGHT that Tarik know, right? KURT knows that there were some days when me and KURT never used to get along. And if I was to tell Tarik some of those stories, he'd be like, KURT?
Really?
And I'm sure if KURT told Tarik some stories, he'd be like, Kevin? Really? But we're going to know different things now.
Looks like growth and maturity amongst us all being
and that's just last week, Tarik. That's just last
week. Yeah. But the fact is, like, you have these stories of these people who lived long ago. Somebody buck up Nanny, and they buck up this Nanny. Nanny bounce bullet off her bottom, and they go, what? So the other person didn't see that. They saw something else. In fact, there's even a myth of Nanny never exists. Nanny was just a title, right? It wasn't an actual person.
I've heard.
You know, so somebody actually said that to me recently, because down Hero Circle, because I think she's the only hero who's, well, yeah, somebody said that because her body isn't there, that means she's not real.
Which is not a great logical
interesting
argument.
Take.
It is.
Yeah.
That's an interesting take.
But wait.
So basically, Lizard never existed.
No, stop. Right? You got to, hey, don't go there, sir. We are cartel fans. Even them. Listen.
I said nothing. I said nothing about cartel.
Wait. Let me go so far. What I'm talking about is when we talk about the same river thing with Darren, and so we did go up the area, up at the falls, up on the maroon town with this guy, and it did show us a grave, and I think he did say Nanny is buried right here, if I'm correct.
Well, I don't know. As I said, there's lots of versions.
Quite possibly, and I'm not even going to dispute that particular place, because I don't know where it is. But we also live in a country where a man will dig up something, fill it back up with dirt, and be like, so Nanny did bury it.
Exactly.
You want to bring some tourists?
Lucky, we live in a country where there are people who don't know their birth date. Right? Literally. Right. They don't know the birth date. They have a birth certificate, and that's not actually when they're born. You have people where literally
they've never been called by the name that is on that piece of paper.
Exactly. And that's what I'm about to say.
So
you go country and say, may I ask, Is Claudine Lecky here? Claudine who? Claudine Lecky. Who names her?
No,
Oh,
so
you mean
You
Sharon?
mean Bunny? Yeah,
You
man, you mean
mean Bunny?
Sharon? Oh,
no, that's true. So where it happened was in Portland, but with the nanny thing. But the thing is, I remember because my family come from Portland, or my father come
it
from
could
Portland.
be memorial. It could be memorial.
me
It could
say?
be that they just put
Yeah.
a plaque there for her.
It could be that, but the same thing when I talk about people like I go Swift River, Portland, and me I ask for the Lecky them, because anytime you hear Lecky, you go, where you come from? Portland. Which part of Portland? Swift River, straight. I remember I met somebody at the lab, and she named Lecky. Or she heard somebody named Lecky, and she was like, oh my gosh, we're a cousin. Because of Lecky. So, and then when I go there, I ask for Lecky, and I'm like, which Lecky you come from? Which side of Lecky? The one them up this up on the hill? The one them down here, sir?
Rapid.
Is it L-E-C-K-Y or L-E-C-K-I?
Yeah, and
No,
and there
I
you
see
go.
him Lecky. I see him Lecky. But it's like the Syrian them, the white one them, that is just like, yo, okay.
But I think that
No,
was
just,
kind of our whole
but our friend
thing.
Alex Yenguku, AD Alex.
More.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Find out say me and my cousin, because I think his mother are Lecky or come from Lecky.
Right. Well, yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's not surprising, though. That's not surprising. But I mean, that's the whole thing, though. And it's like, because of situations like that, as I said, for me, Origins was more about doing something that at the end of it, I would love if it sparks people to just do their own research and kind of be like, yo, Nani was so badass in this thing. Let me look up this chick and see, you know, like, I mean, someone sent something to me like about 2 years ago. This American friend of mine sent me a comic book page, and it was from an X-Men comic book. And the X-Men, essentially, long story short, the X-Men have formed their sort of like their own nation, and they've gone there because I'm just tired of the humans constantly, whatever. So they have their own place that is their home. They're free to name it as they choose. They're free to live on it as they choose. And apparently they have a place in the big Marvel universe called Nani's Harbor, and there's what he sent me was a page where like Sabretooth, who everybody knows Sabretooth, like Wolverine's big bad enemy. What's that?
No, say that again, you're breaking up. You're saying the place in the X-Men comic was called what?
Nani's Bay. Nani's Harbor or Nani's Bay. I don't remember, but it's on the X-Men's island of Krakoa in the big Marvel universe. And like Sabretooth had gotten loose or something and was trying to escape. And it was Sabretooth who likes nobody, respects nobody, straight up said in his little monologue as he's running down to like a boat to get away, that they call this place Nani's, like he'd say like Nani's Bay. And it's not named after, you know, some XYZ. Like he said something like some batty old woman or whatever, but like a real, you know, maroon chieftain, like warrior chiefess, XYZ, this, that. Sabretooth, bro. Wolverine's biggest, dirtiest, most evil archenemy was like, yo, Nani of the Maroons was a nuts. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. Then I found out that the writer was black, and I was like, this is beginning to explain a lot. You know what I mean? But it was dope. Like, Nani of the Maroons is in the MCU.
Before
our
Kevin
history is amazing.
Yeah, before Kevin kick me off for that question, yeah, I wanted to say I'm still not a fan of your film yet, man, because I can't become a fan if I haven't seen it.
Which film is this? No,
better about Origins, because the thing is
that the bone? Is that the bone?
I don't. No, the bone not forward yet.
The bone not forward yet. All right, cool.
But the thing is, Origins, I don't know if I've seen it, bro. I don't know, but I've seen the VFX shot that Coretta did.
There's two versions.
So, okay. So I've seen the VFX that Coretta did with the Anansi, and I've seen some. But I'm not. Maybe I've seen a trailer. Maybe I think I've seen a trailer.
No, again, there's two versions of it though. Yeah. And even when you say Coretta with the Anansi thing, that's from the original one. If it's on Birdie from Nomads with the spider crawling over his shoulder, that is the original 15-minute short film that we did off of JAFTA Propeller. That was the year that we were one of the winners of JAFTA Propeller, and that's how we created the original version of it. That
Okay.
is what Ministry of Culture then went on to see, and the Branson Center and a couple other people decided to tell us to go out for these grants. Ministry of Culture granted us some money. We won another grant as well, and that's how we got the proof of concept funded. As I said the other day, though, the proof of concept, it has shown at a couple of places locally, it has shown at a couple of places overseas, but the reality is that it was made specifically to be exactly just that, though, like a proof of just a first episode of, like 8 episodes, and it's the thing that allowed us to have a trailer. It's the thing that we've taken the screenshots to build the pitch deck and stuff, so we don't have to use any AI bullshit, because we actually do have some really dope imagery of like Three Finger Jack like fighting Kwashi in the woods and all kind of stuff. But yeah, it's why I said that Rob Mailer made the suggestion about putting it out there on like a YouTube or something, because otherwise it's kind of just sitting down. Right now, the only thing that's holding it back is that we use, for anyone who has seen it, it ends with the Peter Tosh song Bumbleclad, and we had the rights to it, but those rights I'm pretty sure have expired. Like maybe I can show it at like a film festival or something, but I can't put it out on YouTube as is. So until I can actually get the sound guy to go in there on a technical level and take out that stem, put in something else, some generic whatever, I don't know. That is one of the main reasons, because I have the cut points in the edit set already. I know exactly what the episodes are if I'm going to break it up. But that's one of the main reasons why I can't just put it out, or I'm going to be putting out 7 episodes and you're going to be like, where the hell is the last part? Well, see, I don't want to get sued. And it's too much money to spend for that purpose, just to be like, I'm going to put this thing out on YouTube. And when I said too much money, I mean, it's going to be too much money for like just another 2 years or 3 years. You know what I mean? There's no way I can pay for like, indefinite for something that essentially has to be done all over again, or may just get redone in the form of a feature film.
But
So,
question,
yeah.
can the song, because I know there's different laws, can it be done as a cover?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
But
more
would
than
it,
likely.
but if it's done as a cover, is it the same legal?
No, it is not. And Everaldo
No.
Crary, who played Anansi in Origins for us in the bigger one, he actually made that suggestion. And obviously everybody knows Evie and Sheppy from Nomads. I don't know. He brought it up once and I've kind of come back around to him at a certain point. Sheppy has gotten very busy. He was in Marley, he was in Inheritance. I don't even think Sheppy lives here anymore. But I mean, it could be interesting to just have it done as a cover. You're absolutely right. And then it becomes a totally different thing that we could potentially do that. So that's also something that we're considering. But the reality is the reason it's not just out on public is specifically to a large extent because of that. Like I said, the edit is ready to be cut and ready to. I've already timed out the points. It would be 8 episodes. It would be 8, and they're all about like 5-6 minutes long. But the reality is, yeah, can't put it out with that at the tail end without somebody actually, sorting that aspect of it out for me. So yeah, we're working on that.
I wanted to ask because going back to what you were saying about preserving the heritage and our history through this particular piece, but just in general, but because we're talking about Origin specifically, since you have been on local sets, international, working with different crew members who come to Jamaica and also are here, how do you think Jamaican stories are being perceived on a global level? Like when you have conversations with them, what do you think their perceptions of authentic Jamaican storytelling is?
I've never come across anybody on an international set who has. I don't walk around offering to show it, but like maybe I'm working with somebody who worked on it, and they told somebody else about it. I've never been asked to show somebody like the trailer or the promo stuff, and they have not been incredibly impressed with what we've managed to do. This is also keeping in mind that when we shot Origins, as in the pilot, it was 2019, and we shot it with 2 A7S2s and a couple of aperture lights. And when they see the trailer, there's one shot that if you see in the trailer, where Jack and Ellie are running across the big field. that shot always is a sticking point for people where they're like, oh my God, that is gorgeous and XYZ. And I tell them, yeah, that's me running with a gimbal upside down. They're always so impressed with what we managed to do with so little. And they're so excited. And I'm talking just straight up white British people, Irish, Scottish, wherever they're from, but they are not Jamaican. And they have seen it. And their whole thing is, this looks awesome. And I would watch this in a heartbeat. So unless a bunch of people from overseas who owe me nothing are just trying to kiss my ass, which I severely doubt, their whole thing has always just been, this looks really good and I hope you get through with it because I really want to see this, you know? Like when you need a cameraman come, if we come work on it, XYZ, them kind of thing. So, you know, I think it has a lot of international appeal. Just as a real quick aside, when we talk about the language aspect of certain things, I was asked to write a little spin-off of Origins that we were planning to do. I'm not sure if that's going to happen immediately, but we wrote a 30-minute spin-off of Origins. Different time, same world, same characters, but set like in a more modern setting. And I purposely wrote it with different levels of patois in it. And one of the people who was, you know, pushing for it was saying, oh, you know, oh, their authenticity was being used every other word, authenticity, and they're from overseas. And then I explained to them that I've written a script in patois, but I have an English version as well. I'm going to send you both because I don't know if you'll be able to read the patois. Their whole thing was, no, man, like, I mean, you know, well, I'm going to start on the patois. I mean, if you want to send me the English, fine, whatever. I was like, okay, suit yourself. The instant they tried to read the patois, their whole thing was, you know, like, oh, well, you know, I think maybe, you know, we can kind of like compromise. I said, no, I'm not compromising. You talked about authenticity. And, you know, it's not, if people can sit down and watch Squid Game and read, you know, I don't speak a lick of Korean, but I'll watch the hell out of Squid Game. I don't speak a lick of Spanish, but I'll watch the hell out of, what you call it, that Pablo.
Better than me.
Narcos.
Better than me, put that pa we name the English mode. And just listen in English, yeah, man. I can't bother no more, bro. It's a lot of reading sometimes.
No, but here's the thing, though. You can if you want to, but what annoys me is that sometimes I find that the English voices are so distractingly bad that I would just rather read it, in all honesty. I've tried to do that sometimes, too, and the English dubbing is awful, depending on what the show is, usually, obviously. But no, my point is that we ended up saying we were going to do this read, and he kind of kept coming back around to this whole thing of like, you know, like maybe we can make. And I said, bro, you have to understand something about patois. There's levels to it, and a Kingstonian and a Montegonian don't speak the same type of patois. A Montegonian, somebody from Negril, somebody from Balaclava, somebody from. If a man use the word "bang" with me in a sentence, I don't know where the bang come from. Like I know I'm in the wrong spot. Right? So I'm trying to explain that to him, and I'm saying, dude, just exactly. But I was like, just give it a chance. I am not hiring any American actors for this read. I know exactly who I want to play the roles. They are all Jamaican people. Let us just do the read, and we're going to have the Jamaicans come in because some of the characters speak English. Some of them only speak when they're pissed off. Some of them don't speak as thick patois. Some of them speak thicker patois. Just let the man, we'll have this whole authenticity conversation where we did the read and the man understood every single word. I didn't know, but he had brought a Netflix reader into the read because we did a whole Zoom thing, and he had brought a Netflix reader in there. And their response, because now I'm very curious, and I'm like, well, what did you think now? Like in terms of just the language alone, we're not even getting into story or nothing. What did you think? And they were like, Kurt, I would tell you this, don't change a thing. I'm going to tell you straight up, I don't speak the patois, but I understood everything y'all were saying. So don't change nothing. Subtitle it if you want to subtitle it, but do not change your language at all. And I went, boom, bang, there we go.
Wow.
No, man, she said she don't speak the patois, but at the same time, she understood it.
I've heard patois, not
because
patois.
at the end of the day, our language is so powerful that some of the words, just hearing how the words sound, tell you what the word means.
Exactly.
And there's no English equivalent to the word. Like there's so many words, there are words new words that somebody will just say, and I go, I've never heard that word before, but somehow I know exactly what you mean because it sounds like what it means.
Yeah.
Like literally speaking, even the word fenke, like it sounds like something with fenke. I don't
Yeah,
know how else to
you're not
describe
gonna
it.
say that. You're not gonna say that without going, hey, the kind of fenke. And like you
Exactly.
this too, is
Exactly.
now this indication of it was neither here nor there. You know what I mean? It wasn't really up to snuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but it proved this point, and I only tell this story because I feel like I've heard so much that I don't really understand Jamaican. And my response is I don't think you've really listened.
Exactly.
Because a lot of times this is for Jamaicans sitting down right here. I have not sounded like this throughout the entirety of this conversation. You know what I mean? So it's
Mhm.
like I just feel like the same way that everybody's on this whole thing about authenticity, and Jason Momoa have that show on Apple, and like they had some Hawaiians playing Samoans, and that is a whole thing. And I'm like, so then why is it okay for like somebody who's never even been to Jamaica, much less have Jamaican heritage, to come down here and play one of us?
Yeah.
Well, I
Ah,
mean,
you're
It,
gone
firstly,
it,
if
too
you're
it,
all
it was
far
when
now. You're
firstly,
gone
if you're
too
all
it,
far now. You see,
No,
you see.
no,
No man,
no,
we
let
know
me
what
tell
you
you,
mean. No
there are
man, we
days
know what you mean.
when
We know what you
I'm not
mean.
saying they can't,
there,
I'm not saying that they can't. There's something to be said for names and star power, you know what I mean? But it would have been nice if
yeah,
Bob
for
Marley was
sure.
But
really a Jamaican.
True,
Kurt,
true.
we do have another podcast with that same thing that we need to do, and it's talking about the authenticity. That word. I'm sorry, I'm messing it
That's
up right now.
Yeah, man, no,
that's
it's fine.
That
You went to
word.
Casey. It's okay.
authenticity. Yes.
Shit. We're not
Yes.
say it
good
in patois, like
enough.
it's fine. Say it in
Listen to,
patois.
yo. What me say is speaking the language and how it sounds when they bring people to Jamaica to speak our language when they can just get a Jamaican. But then again, Jamaicans aren't that trained to do that level of work, right? So we do have a podcast, and I said if you want to jump on that podcast when the time they come, I think directors and people that's directing people and writing scripts and so on need to be in that podcast because it's a very serious thing. Because even in Jamaica, you realize Jamaicans aren't writing patois. I mean, like, why are they speaking this way? And
It's
even
changing
uptown
now,
people
but
don't
yeah.
even sound that way there, to be
Let
honest,
me,
too.
I have noticed that as well too, that a
yeah.
lot of people who don't necessarily consider themselves to be uptown, they have a way of writing uptown people that is just I understand that uptown people might sound corny to you, and I get that, but it doesn't change the fact that a uptown woman and man doesn't sound like a 18th century British
Yeah,
butler. You know what
exactly.
I mean?
Yes.
Like
Yeah,
there's
man.
still these stereotypes that I find in
Yeah,
writing out here locally, that it's like,
there
people
are.
talking about, mama, can I no.
No, let me
No
tell you
uptown youth
one.
is calling him mother mama. That's
Yeah,
that's
no,
that's
one of
just
the
weird.
biggest issues that I had, like when I was in film lab. So the uptown characters, I would have them speak proper English sometimes, patois sometimes, and people are like, "Could you have them just like stick to one, like stick to just English or stick to just patois?" And I'm like, "No, we
But we
don't
don't.
talk like that.
We don't do that.
Sometimes we talk proper, and some in the
Mhm.
same sentence we will break from standard English to patois.
Yeah.
We don't pick one straight lane all the time."
Yeah.
Can I
And when
just
I
add
when
to
I
that?
tell you, it's something that is not known, to the point where even if I've submitted scripts that I've written to like international competitions and stuff, I've had to preface the script by saying, this is how patois works. That like sometimes I have written it in standard English, but if a man buck him to and say bumbleclad, there's
Right.
kind of no other word I can use to fill that.
Exactly.
So,
No other word.
work with it, It's just, yeah.
Let
Sorry,
me let
Tarik.
me
Yeah,
add let me
yeah.
add to that a little bit. Like what you were saying about a lot of Jamaican writers not writing in patois. This is something that I personally went through while I was training. It was something that was so drilled into my brain that if you write something in patois, the American market will not understand it. That's
And you know
literally
why
what
that's
they said.
false? You know why
And
that's
yes,
false?
it is
I
completely
talked
false
to
because
Lecky. I
they
talked to
said they're
Lecky
not
a
going to
lot.
understand it because it's a new language. We don't understand what it means. But then I say, so what about movies that's completely in French or Spanish? Even Korean, as Kurt was just saying, you watch the hell out of Squid Game, but you're not watching something in part of it. We're like, oh,
Yeah.
we don't mind it, but that sounds easier to us. Like the ear is not gonna understand that.
Yeah, but let me tell you why it's as false. Like I talk to Lecky all the time, and I'll hear him talking to his American friends in the background. Lecky does not code switch. He
Yeah.
talks
He
straight
does not.
patois all
Yes.
the time.
Mhm.
And I don't hear anybody in the background going, well, like he just said, what him say a while ago? They all answer immediately. They understand every
Yeah.
single word him say.
That
And
was
I'm
that
gonna
was
tell you,
my
say, I've
experience.
never.
That was my experience in college as well too, because I would be code switching with people, but the more we hung out and the more comfortable I got with them, the original accent would start coming back. I'd start
Yes.
dropping a little bit of patois here and there, and then the next thing you know, you realize you're just speaking to them comfortably, and they've never questioned it. Like one day you just weren't code switching, and they understand you perfectly. As a matter of fact, I was playing with a brethren of mine in college. I was playing some two-player video game, and it was one of them like zombie something. And he got too close to a door. This is a white youth. He got too close to a door, and something jumped out after him. And my boy jumped back and went bumbleclot. And so I died. Like, this is a white boy from Philly. Like, he jumped back, said that, and paused instantly and just looked at me. Because it was not meant as a joke. It was not like he was like
Him use it
fucking
in the
Did he
right
say it in his
context.
American
used it in
accent,
the
or did he
right
sound like you?
context. I was
Wow.
like, call me Duolingo,
Yo,
motherfucker. Like,
it's crazy. It's crazy like when people try to understand just like bumbleclot or the use of it, and I'm just like, bro, I'm sorry, if listen, you're there, Tarik. It's a Christian house. I hope you're there for headphone. Dude, the bumbleclot can be used in so many words, so many ways.
yeah.
And
It's a
people
verb,
say,
it's a noun, it's an
say,
adjective.
can you bumbleclot a girl? I'm like, no, that's not how you use it. But you can say, hey, bumbleclot girl, right? But you
Or you
can't
can say,
bumbleclot
bumbleclot,
girl there, right?
Yeah.
Right? Because you say it's like using the word fucking, but it's not the same way as using the word
It's
fucking,
not the same.
right?
It's not the
Yeah.
same.
So
Yeah.
it's crazy, but yeah,
It's a
let's
multitude.
continue.
There are similarities,
Yeah.
But yeah,
yeah.
anyway, my point is that they need to put in less effort than they think they do. And I just think that if everybody, including America, is going to be on this whole thing about authenticity, then it should be authenticity and equality and authenticity for everybody. As long as you are not doing that other podcast in August, I am down because I'm very busy after this, till the end of August. But yeah, man, I'm down. I'm down because I've seen a lot of things on set, man, when it comes to like, so why did we fly somebody all the way from like,
Yo.
XYZ, this, that, and the third for 2 lines when we have Jamaican actors who could have done that? But at the same time, I do think that there are also a lot of Jamaican actors and Jamaican actors who are not as far ahead as they think they are. And as a result, it comes down to that same clique thing too, where it's like, yo, them a fight, yo, them a fight. It's like, yeah, but you're not that good. You could be. I'm not even saying you couldn't be.
Yeah.
But maybe, and this is without anybody in mind, I promise, but maybe you've spent so much time on stage and you're so accustomed to that you didn't realize that your entire audition was at a 10 or an 8 when the director needed a 3. Like, you didn't even realize it wasn't even about not going to a 6. Like, they needed a 3. When they said you're pissed off, it wasn't this kind of pissed off. It was this kind of pissed off. You know what I mean? And because you didn't take it that way, and the instinct of stage is, let me make sure the person at the back of the room can hear me, sometimes old habits die hard, and that's fine, and that's fair, and that's human. But I think a lot of people, they kind of think that because they've been doing it for X amount of time, and it's like, yeah, but understand that there's still a difference between being on Married with Children and on being on Game of Thrones. It's 2 different styles of acting, even though those are both TV shows. Al Bundy would not have necessarily had a place in Game of Thrones, though I'd like to think Al Bundy would fit in anywhere. But the reality is, it's again, it's a different style, and you have to be ready to adapt to that. It's not as simple as,
Right.
I see people talking about, oh, I'm an award-winning this, award-winning. Yeah, okay, but you won the Actor Boy a bunch of times, and that's great for you on stage.
Right.
But that means nothing when you walk into an audition for a television show where your face is going to be this close to the camera on a very regular basis.
Yeah.
If you could mentor one emerging filmmaker in Jamaica right now, what key skills or mindset would you encourage them to develop first?
Stay in your lane. I was gonna say that it would be hard to answer that because it depends on what the person's interested in. But at the same time, I firmly, firmly believe that just stay in your lane, man, and just be a sponge. Never hesitate to be a PA. You have no idea how valuable a good PA is, and being a PA is just a leg, a foot, or whatever into every single department.
Yep.
It is the hardest day for me as an AD anytime any of my PAs go, I think so I want to learn how art department work or how gaffering work and I go, oh God, I'm losing like one of my people. But you have to make people grow, you know what I mean? You have to make people go, and everybody has to grow in the industry. But people don't understand how hard it is to replace a good PA. And there's a reason for that. If you're taking it seriously and if you take it as a learning experience and if you learn to roll with the punches, because believe me, again, Tarik, sorry, you're going to work for some assholes. You are definitely going to. Definitely. I have questioned my choices of career many, many, many times over the 20 odd years I've been working in this industry, specifically because I worked for like one bad person or one other or two bad, you know what I mean? And you kind of just really say, yo, this can't be worth taking this literal abuse. But when you understand that not every set is like that, when you understand that most sets are not even like that, when you understand that you get to look back 20 years later and go, whoa, that person really was again, for the sake of Tarik's household, we won't get into it, but that person really was what you thought they were, and they were in fact wrong. They were wrong because now I'm in a bigger position than them, and I'm going, but raw. You didn't have to treat people like that. And your whole mentality of, if you can't handle this work, then you're not made for it. No, maybe you're just abusive. Maybe sets shouldn't be made to run for 18, 19, 20 odd hours. How about that? Maybe you're a terrible producer who thinks that that's okay. Maybe you have your own Jesus to go find. You know what I mean? So if I could give advice to anybody, it would really just be that, listen, if you end up on set with me, don't ask me questions when you see me answering a bag of others that are work related. But once you see all of that stop, I'm usually very, very willing when we have a moment. I usually encourage PAs, ask me questions about stuff, but just understand that, like, if I'm in the middle of talking to the AD or the director, bad timing, you know what I mean? And just learn to stay in your lane, man. Staying in your lane will get you so far. Stay in your lane and just do your job well. Take the initiative and stuff. And you would be amazed how much people will notice how good you are. People will notice the effort that you're putting in. I'm always mad when I can't hire every single PA I want, because right now I have a decent amount who I feel like genuinely look out for me, and as a result, look out for the crew when they're on set. Yeah, that's basically it. I feel like I've made my career to whatever it is now by starting off doing PA work, became a head PA, found out the difference between a head PA and a third AD. And then I was ADing for Casa at the same time too as a first AD. And and that all of that experience enabled me to be directing my own stuff as well. Just be a sponge, man. Be a sponge and humble yourself and stay in your lane.
Well, Lecky and Tarik, if you don't have any other questions, I think that's a perfect ending.
No, man, see, at one time now, because someone want to run joke about authenticity and purple downtown school. Think of so. So you're messing now.
We're going to record this?
Yeah, man, we record this, man. But pick up yourself. Wife in your background, man, get cussed. No, man, I'm not cussing. The truth is, and I've done this before. I said this about what's his name from Mobe, the director. Give me his name again, Kevin. That we interviewed. Kevin, give him
Dario.
Right?
Go, yeah.
The truth is, you can hear things on road about people, but when you actually talk to somebody and learn their mindset, it's a whole different thing. See me say? And I like that because right now, out of the blues, me would have never called KURT because I never deal with KURT like that before. I don't know KURT like that. But being on set with you, get Millie Black. I was ACing for Randy. He was doing BTS, right? So that's the
Yes,
first time I was in proximity of KURT. And I've heard about KURT, and I said, oh, what's the brother there, you know? So I pray, and I say, let me see how I'm like really stay. You see me, I say? Plus, there's actually no reason for me to actually talk to you because I was an AC for BTS. So there's no reason, but me I watch and say, oh, you know, man.
And it's set, but that's not even an antisocial thing. Yeah, if people know
no.
So it go, yeah.
So on an
antisocial,
really
necessarily.
Exactly. But even if we're crossing path, it's like
it's a nod, yeah.
You know when. So you know, see what I'm saying. But it's not like you really acknowledge me and so on and said it's same breath, man. Like doesn't really matter. So I preach, and then I remember you saw the Komodo, and you say, "Yo, that's a Komodo." I'm gonna see you start do this to Randy. It's like, nice camera. I'm here looking at the background. Excuse yourself, Tarik. I'm gonna say, but the bumbo will never know say my camera that. And I've always remembered it. I say, so someone get respect around here, right?
I just got a headache. Like,
no, but that was really it. But you know but I say that was but as I say, we sit here, we talk and we're cool. But at the same time, that doesn't only go for you, brother. That goes for a lot of people in Jamaica. A lot of the times they respect you because of what you have. And not, I'm not say you do that, but in that moment you're like, bombard youth, that's a nice camera. No. But me look on it and in the background owning the actual camera that you're liking. I'm like, but you never know. You see me I say, but a lot of people,
you know the joke about it though, and it's just, and I mean maybe it don't even need clarifying, but I can tell you for a fact though that one of the reasons that I even made that comment is because I have a A7S III, and that is the most that I have, and to me. Already something that if I had it, I'd be shooting movies like tomorrow, and Netflix couldn't tell me nothing because it is big, you know. And it was just this whole thought of just going, man, look at this, Ras. A red Komodo is shooting the BTS. Like I've been on films that was using less than a red Komodo for shoot the episode of TV. You know what I mean? And I was just, so that is one of the reasons why they kind of pointed out, because kind of like, yo, like the budget must have turned up, or plus me and Randy have a relationship. And I was like, the budget must have turned up because Randy showed up on set with a red Komodo to shoot BTS, bro. Like I'd have been here with like an A7S going, you sure you can afford the gimbal? like that's how I saw it. You know what I mean? But no, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying totally, you know, but it's also just set is so big. Yeah, it's just so big, and it's like you say, you can go through the whole job and don't say more than 2 words to, even as a third AD, I don't have no reason to talk to the prop master's assistant. That's nothing against the man.
Yeah.
But maybe we just don't even, you know what I mean, more than a...
So let me just end on this, and that's something that I was picking up from what you just said a while ago, where you can bring on somebody and they can ask you questions about that's the next thing about being on set and asking questions. As I just said to you, I stand up next to you in front of your face. And I could have spoken to you. There's many times I could have said hi. But you don't know me. Me AC, if you need to talk to me, you will talk to me. I can talk to you. I can run joke, or I can slide a joke in there. Maybe you go, oh yeah, is what I said. But your real focus is on the main BTS guy that is running in there and getting shots, and me I pull focus and so on. You not have to actually talk to me, but the people that is coming onto set that wants to learn them, it's a weird thing, but you have to. It's like hopscotch. You have to know when to hop in there and ask the question, because sometimes you think at the right time, and as soon as you're about to move, something happen, there you go. You know, so
but you know them. I can, and I'm sorry to, I know Kevin won't go in bed right now at this point, but even to even show you, you know, how that is to a large extent a universal thing. I worked on James Bond for nearly 3 months. We were in Portland, in everywhere that we shot, nowhere was particularly huge. We're at the docks before you get right into the town. We were at Dragon Bay, couple other places. Nowhere that we shot was so massive that I never had any interaction with, say, the director, or couldn't have, right? The director and I, out of the, like I said, nearly 2 months, nearly 3 months, sorry, that I was on that job, he spoke to me twice in that entire shoot. And I'm not saying this to hold it against him. I'm just saying, again, everybody working, everybody moving, everybody has their own role to play. And there's a scene where Lashana Lynch and my boy, they're supposed to buck up in the club, and them kind of do a little thing like this. And it's a dope shot because the camera's supposed to be following and turn with them and XYZ. I will say it out and loud, like the sound man was driving me insane because the boom up was kind of a dickhead. And he was getting in the way of an extra that I had been very specifically asked. When them said so, make him walk across. And I'm like, all right, cool. The boom up was there doing his thing, full out. Him could have shot in the pole, him could have whatever, but he didn't. And I said to him, yo, brother, can you do me one little favor? I have to send a guy through XYZ. Very abrasive. He looked back at me and he was like, yeah, mate, like he needs to just learn to walk around. Like, I'm not in your way. And I went, oh, word? Okay. So we tried it a couple more times. He is still getting in the way of my guy. It's throwing off the timing. The director calls to me and goes, so Kurt, what I need, it's Kurt, right? Yeah, okay, cool. What I need him to, and I'm in my mind, I'm going like, dude, I know exactly what you need. Like I'm doing, like, I'm trying. And, the excuse came halfway out and I was like, no problem, I'll fix it. Went to the extra, switched him out, found the biggest son of a bitch I could find. This dude who was about like 300 pounds. I was like, yo, do me a favor. When them cross, you cross. If the boom up gets in your way, bounce him bumbleclot. And he went, you sure? Do it. And that is exactly what he did. When me tell you some, my boy spin like a, when my boy spin like a gig, you sit down and have to pull back the boom pole for try to get it back.
Him learn fast.
The worst thing is there's no dialogue. There's no dialogue. So what are you really killing out yourself getting in my way for?
What? Just love it. Just love it, yo.
When this behemoth brother just walk into the man and on purpose, I'm gonna sit him on purpose to give him a little shoulder check to, and my boy spin like a gig. And all I heard, as soon as we did it, the director just heard him shouting from inside, perfect. And I said, okay, cool, great. Right? That is the first time he spoke to me, and the next time he spoke to me was the very, very, very last day on set. Last shot, we just finished it. He came over, he was waiting for something to pack up, and he just happened to be standing beside me. And he was like, so, yo, how did you enjoy the shoot? And I was like, man, it was such an amazing learning experience. And that's all I got. And he was like, cool, man, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Went about his business. I am one of the assistant directors. I never had a single opportunity to say anything to this man for the entirety of that shoot. And that's okay, because I was there to do my job and I was there to support him. And at the end of the day, to some extent, even just that little moment of him coming to me to be like, so like, how was it for you? The way that I see it, him never owe me that. Him never owe me nothing. Him could have gone about in business and fly back home, wherever that may be. You understand? And I'm still like, okay, well, I got to work on a James Bond movie. I would rather you just tell me thank you at the end of a shoot, dog, than we even pretend to be friends. And I'm not saying that's what he was doing either, mind you. But I'm saying, like, I've had people straight, oh, man, anytime you come to England or anytime you XYZ, you call them all 2 months later and who?
Remember, yeah.
And I'm like, no, but that's my thing, and that's the industry. So you kind of go, that's cool, but like, it wasn't necessary for you to tell me all that shit because I never seek you out. Do you understand? I never got to you to be like, so yo, what's the gig after this? Do you think me and you could? No, bro. Like I said, yo, safe flight. Mm-hmm. You never have to give me all of that. So I take it as it comes. Every job is different. I've made some very, very good friends in this industry overseas. And a lot of them has been without that level of effort. You know what I mean? You just keep in touch. Some of them are from Bond, some of them are from Yardie, some of them, you know what I mean? Like I still talk to a lot of these people. Some of them are actors off of the set. But it's like you can't come into the thing looking to kiss ass and suck up to people, you find that like those people get ferreted out very quickly. And you're there to do work. The most you can just hope for is that it's a good job, it's a safe job, and hopefully it's a fun job, which I always try to. For all my loudness and seriousness on set, I want everybody to enjoy themselves.
One more
and
thing.
Get home safe.
One more thing.
And with that
I can see Kevin crying.
Wait, no. Wait, say, actually, we can end on this. You actually
That's what you said last time.
You may say, wait, not just... Listen, I'm not spoken enough.
Get it out.
I'm not try speaking enough. What I try to say is, you have actually made me found one of my favorite songs, bro. So one day, Darren sent me a music video with my colors in. And I hear the song, I say, yo, that song out. Why I'm going to say, who direct this? I'm going to say, KURT. I'm going to say, dog, this nice, The Romeo and Vega song, I think is Switch You On. And I was just like, bro, that song there, bad, bro. The music video, crazy.
Which video is that? I did a couple for him. Which video?
Him with a girl in the mirror, I think him or something like he...
Oh, is that the one? Is that the one with him and Chris? The one with him and Christopher Martin, or the one with him in the mirror? The one
I think it's a mirror thing. Old man, yes. I think Darren colored that. Yes.
Darren shot that for me. Yeah, man. Darren did an amazing job on that.
Yo, when I saw that, I fell in love with the song, bro, and I was like, that song there.
I'm glad.
Yeah, the work, bro. Yeah, the work, bro. I'm gonna see some other work we are doing, and we want the man to direct more. You see me I say? So.
Yeah, believe me. I'm doing something in August, as I say. I'm ADing another feature film for a friend of mine near the end of the year. But I'm determined that between the end of August and when we start up that thing in like November, December, I'm hoping to do at least one more short film before the year is done. I was just telling Tarik today. So, and that's not a film festival, whatever type thing. It's something for do and just put out. So I'm really hoping to get that done. So people will be seeing more, man. I want to start dusting off the directing hat.
There we go.
As you said, doing more. You know what I mean? So yeah, your lips to God's ears. Let us see how it goes. But I appreciate it.
All right, cool. So with that said, everybody, we just had a conversation with KURT Wright. He is a visionary writer and director, very, very proficient assistant director, and he's very passionate about telling Jamaican stories on another level. KURT, we thank you very much for coming on our podcast, especially on such short notice. Yeah, man. And guys,
I live for short notice, Kevin. I live for short.
Yeah, man. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe to the ANOUVUE podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to it. And don't forget to share it with, your fellow filmmakers, your fellow film lovers, and, leave us a review in the comments. It really helps to, help get others to discover the show. So see you guys next time. As usual, your host, Kevin Jackson. And yeah, just tell the stories that matter.
We're out.
Thank you for listening to the ANOUVUE podcast. Please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you want more information on today's episode, check the show notes below if you are on a podcast platform, or the description if you are on YouTube. See you next episode.